Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
Welcome to Sunday Baseball on Fox Sports Arizona.
We are the Scottsdale Calrissian Majors Diamondbacks.
Today, the Diamondbacks take on the Dodgers.
Go D-backs!
Yay!
Chase Field here in downtown Phoenix, more than 33,000 on Friday night, better than 38,000 last night. And Diamondback fans pouring in this afternoon for the series finale. They're Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Diamondback baseball brought to you by Sanderson Ford. Good afternoon from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brentley along the way. The Diamondbacks this afternoon with a chance to salvage a series finale against these Dodgers. Trevor Cahill on the mound. And Bob, how would you best characterize Trevor's season so far?
One really good start, a couple of not so good starts. In his defense, he's drawn some tough opponents. Young Jin Ryu in his first start of the season, and Tim Hudson twice. Did have one of the two quality starts for the D-backs rotation this year. And once again, in his defense, the offense just has not scored runs for him, but he definitely needs to pitch better and throw more strikes.
And the Diamondbacks like some of the things they've seen from Trevor so far this year. They'll hope for more good things today, but if he's going to have success, he's going to have to deal with this guy.
Big series for Adrian Gonzalez after starting the year 7 for 37 with 4 runs driven in through his first 10. He has really turned it on in this series. Hopefully keep his bat quiet today.
A couple of home runs so far. Gonzalez back in the lineup today. It is Trevor Cahill for the Diamondbacks and a familiar face for the LA Dodgers. It's former Diamondback Dan Herron on the mound for Los Angeles, his third start since coming over from the Washington Nationals. More on Dan Herron, a familiar foe. When we come back, you're watching Arizona Diamondbacks baseball only here on Fox Sports Arizona. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball presented by Sanderson Ford. Diamondbacks out on the field along with some Diamondback fans. It's part of our Subway Kids Take the Field with a players lineup. To join, just sign up at a Subway near you. Subway, eat fresh. Lineup cards being exchanged, and now it's time to honor America. And for that, we pause and turn it over to the voice of Chase Field, Mr. Chuck Draga.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and please remove your hats. Please direct your attention to the field as we honor the United States of America and pay tribute to our veterans, active duty, and retired men and women of our armed services. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Dodgers invite you to join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by the ASU Pitchforks.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Trying to avoid their second sweep of the year at the hands of the Dodgers. Remember, hold on there, some dugout antics. Yasiel Puig having some fun. LA won both games in Sydney to open the season. A win today would make the Dodgers 5-0 against the Diamondbacks this year. This is the lineup for Don Mattingly this afternoon.
We'll lead it off with D. Gordon at second base today. Yasiel Puig playing right field. Hanley Ramirez at shortstop. That guy, Adrian Gonzalez, has had a big series against the D-backs. Have to quiet him down today. He'll be followed by Matt Kemp. Andre Ethier playing left field today. Juan Uribe at third base. Tim Fedorovich doing the catching for right-handed former D-back Dan Herron.
And on the mound for the Diamondbacks, Trevor Cahill, his 4th start this season. The key numbers for Trevor so far as he throws ball 1 to D. Gordon. He is our Arizona Ford Diamondback starting pitcher. He has worked just over 13 innings and given up 20 hits, issued 8 bases on balls.
Yeah, the base on balls have really been an issue. Obviously, the base hits are always an issue, but if you can eliminate some of the traffic on base ahead of those base hits, might have a chance to get deep into the ball game.
D. Gordon back in the lineup today, leading off for Don Mattingly. Gordon sat yesterday against the left-hander Wade Miley. A ball and a strike. Chavez and Goldie in on the grass at 3rd and 1st respectively, and it's 2-1. You always got to respect that speed with this guy.
Absolutely. I mean, Aaron Hill even playing a couple steps more shallow than he normally would at second base, and certainly in the back of Chris Owings' mind as shortstop, he knows he's going to have to charge a softly hit ball as quickly as possible.
And right away, Trevor Cahill, a 3-ball count against the leadoff man. Martin Prado the day off today. Eric Chavez the start at 3rd. And Chris Owings back in at short. Leadoff walk.
Shaky first innings are not uncommon for the D-backs this year. The most runs allowed in the first inning in the majors this season. The Nationals gave up 3 today, so they lead the way with 15 first inning runs, followed by the Indians at 13 and the D-backs with 11.
Greetings for Yasiel Puig. 265 at a home run. D. Gordon 5 for 6 in stolen base attempts this year. Long pause by Cahill.
First inning runs this season given up by the D-backs rotation, tied for the 3rd most in the majors with the Yankees. I mentioned the Nationals with the lead.
Dodgers scored 2 in the first in the series opener. There goes Gordon. He has been uber aggressive all spring long, both in Cactus League play and during the regular season, knowing that he's got a chance here to win an everyday job at second base with LA, and so far he's done an excellent job.
And sometimes a pitcher on the mound can be extraordinarily slow to home plate and not give his catcher much of a chance. That's not the case with Trevor. He's fairly quick to home plate for a big guy. The issue with Trevor is that late movement. As a catcher, it's hard to center up the ball in the glove and make a good quick exchange.
And it's one thing to worry about Gordon over there at first, another to deal with this guy. Yasiel Puig, a pair of hits last night, batting in the leadoff spot. He is 3 for 9 in the series. Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, is the first base umpire.
A little closer that time. Same lead by D. Gordon, but just a little slower on his dive back to first base. Made it a close play.
Gordon holds. Puig swings through it. Cahill quickly ahead 0-2.
Nice changeup that time by Trevor Cahill. That's a weapon that he uses rarely, but very effective that time. Had Puig way out in front.
I think, Bob, with the way that Trevor throws that two-seam sinker and it's in the dirt a lot, you feel pretty good with Tuffy Gosowich back there.
Yeah, Tuffy's a dirt dog. He's not going to let anything get by today. Was out here pregame with Glenn Sherlock blocking balls in the dirt. Neither team took batting practice on the field, so the Diamondbacks took the opportunity to work on some defensive fundamentals, and Tuffy was blocking balls behind the plate, throwing to the bases, getting ready for today's ball game.
A day off for Miguel Montero. 0-2. There is Miggy and Henry Blanco, who is in competition with Tuffy for the backup catcher job in spring training and is now the assistant hitting coach. A lot of catching knowledge right there.
Oh, man.
A ball and 2 strikes. D. Gordon takes off. There's the strikeout of Puig, and Gordon is in there. His 6th stolen base. But Puig is retired, 1 away.
Yeah, not much you can do about that one. D. Gordon is just really fast. Good first 2 or 3 steps to get up to full speed quickly in on his belly. Even though Gordon able to steal the base, good pitch to Yasiel Puig to strike him out.
And here's Hanley Ramirez. Hanley at 283, couple of home runs. Hitless last night. That snapped a 7-game hit streak. A lost speed pitch to start off Ramirez.
We talked about it in the first 2 games of this series. This Dodger ball club very aggressive early in the count. They look for that first fastball. Ramirez and others in this Dodgers lineup with that big front leg kick, really diving in toward home plate, anticipating that first fastball.
Misses away there, 1-1. Ramirez 3 for 4 in Friday's series opener, including a pair of doubles. Trouble on deck. Last 2 seasons, Hanley Ramirez nearly a .400 hitter against the Diamondbacks. And he is hitting better than .370 for his career here at Chase Field. He loves to hit in this ballpark. Most guys do. Gordon at second after a leadoff walk and a stolen base. 2 balls and a strike to Hanley Ramirez. Slowed that thing down again, and it's 2-2.
Hanley Ramirez needs a chin strap on that helmet. Every time he swings or runs the bases, the helmet flies off. Maybe instead of putting so much pine tar on the outside, he ought to put it on the inside.
That's a good look at Trevor Cahill's stuff. I mean, that thing is moving up there. We talk about that all the time. And it becomes a matter of getting him to trust that stuff and be consistent with his delivery. 2-2. Ring him up and sit him down. Back-to-back strikeouts for Cahill. Follow the leadoff walk. 2 down.
I think Ramirez thought that sinker was inside. Trevor starts it right in the middle of the plate and dive bombs it into that inside corner. Good pitch.
That'll work every time. And so here's the man with 2 outs who's been a one-man wrecking crew in this series. Adrian Gonzalez so far 5 for 8. He has driven in 7 runs, including 2 home runs. Cahill trying to strand the leadoff walk.
Well, you do have a base open at first, and Adrian Gonzalez set good numbers against Trevor Cahill throughout the course of his career. 9 for 20. That's a .450 batting average. The on-deck hitter, a right-hander, Matt Kemp, not so good.
First pitch swinging. Gonzalez backs Trumbo up near the track and left. And Trevor Cahill survives the leadoff walk. 2 strikeouts and a fly ball. Dan Herron set to take the mound. Just underway at Chase. Going back to last season, the Diamondbacks have lost 11 of their last 14 against the Dodgers and have been outscored over that stretch 78-46. And Bob, this is the lineup that hopes to reverse that trend this afternoon.
A couple of changes in the lineup today. Parra at the top, Aaron Hill batting second, Goldie in the 3 spot. It'll be Eric Chavez playing third base and cleaning up today, followed by Mark Trumbo. A.J. Pollock with a big home run off the bench last night. Chris Owings at shortstop, Tuffy Gosewich behind the plate, and Trevor Cahill with a good first inning on the mound for the D-backs.
Gerardo Parra steps in to lead it off. Back at the top of the lineup. Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher Dan Herron, the former Diamondback, now a Dodger. After coming over in the offseason from the Washington Nationals, he has been outstanding through 2 starts so far. He's gone 6 innings each time, allowed no more than 4 hits, and has totaled 10 strikeouts against only 1 walk.
A couple of different fastballs. We'll call it a sinker, even though it doesn't really sink. It's more of a tailing 2-seam fastball. His bread and butter pitch is a cut fastball. Also has a real good split finger. Will mix in an occasional curveball.
He's behind 2-1. Herron's first start April 2nd, a win at San Diego. A run on 4 hits and 6. He struck out 6. His previous outing came Tuesday against the Tigers in LA. 6 innings of 3-hit ball. He wound up with a no decision there.
Kind of reversing the trend from last season when he got off to a horrible start through his first 18 games last year. A 4-11 record, ERA of nearly 6, opponent's batting average of nearly 300, but really settled in over his last 15.
Asked Dave McKay at first. And kind of a short hop for Dave Abdu down there on a Golden Glover. Trying to find a non-Dodger fan to give it to. That's where they tend to congregate here.
A little tougher on the first base side of the field.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Base hit. So Parr has now hit safely in 5 of his last 6. Leadoff man aboard for Aaron Hill.
Number 2.
Scalded right back up the middle of the field. Parr with no stride at all, just kind of rocks onto his back foot and then out onto the front leg. Sends that one right back where it came from.
Aaron 236, 3 RBIs. 1 for 4 last night. He had a double and a run scored. You see the roof and the panels are closed. It's only 80 degrees outside, but Diamondbacks will keep the roof closed this afternoon. They're expecting some high winds. There's a strike. 75 degrees inside, nice and cozy. Good numbers career for Aaron against his former Diamondback. Kind of a hop that time from Dan Herron to throw over. Quick.
Yeah, technically might have been a balk, but got away with that one.
Parra takes off, and he's in there. First stolen base of the year for Gerardo Parra.
Oh, he took off before Herron even came to a complete set out there. Obviously anticipated something. Possibly Dave McKay, the first base coach, detected something over there. What a jump by Parra. First stolen base of the season.
So Parra in scoring position. A ball and 2 strikes to Aaron Hill. Fedorovich keeps it in front. Parra stays put. We saw Fedorovich in the series opener. Drew Butera behind the plate last night. And it's Fedorovich again today. A.J. Ellis knee surgery. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. So a 3-ball count against Parra for Herron, and now a 3-ball count to Aaron Hill. Again, Fedorovich is busy back there.
With the Trevor Cahill sinker to Tuffy Gosowich and that split-fingered fastball from Dan Herron to Tim Fedorovich. Could be a busy day behind the dish for the catchers.
It was that guy on the left, Drew Butera, yesterday with Zach Greinke. 3-2.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every D-backs win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Dude.
Sun's out, guns out.
Parra on second, a single and a stolen base. Another 3-2 to Aaron Hill. That one is bounced to third. Uribe. Paul Goldschmidt.
44, Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldie at 327, 2 homers. He has driven in 8. He is 1 for 5 with a double last night. It's only his only hit of the series so far.
A premonition.
Goldie gone. Stay tuned. Goldie looked okay to you in this series?
Yeah, to be honest with you, not really. And he hasn't complained of anything to the best of my knowledge. There's been no injury. His swing has just looked a little different, and he's taken a lot of hittable strikes, which is very unusual for Paul Goldschmidt.
2-0.
Yes, we faced a couple of tough pitchers. That has a lot to do with it. Good pitching can make you look funny up at the plate sometimes.
Greinke certainly very good again. Last night, 1 run in 5 1/3, 8 strikeouts.
I mean, it's inevitable. All these guys are professionals. All these guys set the bar very high for themselves, both as individuals and as teams. And when the team struggles, everybody tends to take a little more onto their own shoulders. And certainly Goldie's a guy that's carried this team ever since he's come to the big league. So I would imagine he's shouldering a lot of the blame himself.
Well, to say the Diamondbacks depended on Paul Goldschmidt last season, at least offensively, is not unfair. Last year, Goldie hit .376 with 28 homers in games the Diamondbacks won. In games they lost, he hit .223. Lifts that high in the air to Puig near the foul line in right. Parra bluffs and holds. Good job by Puig to track that down, and a great job by Dave Abdu to get out of the way there, our Golden Glover.
Vin Scully calls him the wild horse, the wild stallion. Better get out of his way. Got rid of it quickly back to the infield, but you can see that throw was well off the mark. Of course, there was no way for Gerardo Parra to know that he was going to try to throw that ball into the D-backs dugout.
2 down for Eric Chavez. Second start of the season for Eric. He's in there at third base today. Martin Prado getting a day off. Chavez had an RBI triple in his previous start. That was last Wednesday in the win at San Francisco. He had a pinch hit single in the 9th inning last night. Two 2-0. So far, 20 pitches for Dan Herron, only 9 for strikes. The offense leading the majors, in fact, and runners left on base, 104. And those numbers have to improve. 3-0. So Herron not exactly pinpoint with a command. He's gone to 3-ball counts on 2 of the first 3 hitters. Mark Trumbo on deck. There's a strike.
Well, it seems like we've said this an awful lot lately, but Dan Herron fall into that category this season so far as one of those guys you better get him early. Don't let him get comfortable out there on the mound. Find the right splits between his 2 fastballs and that split finger.
Oof.
Nasty.
3 of the first 4, I should say, have reached 3-ball counts, and now it's full to Chavez.
That splitter, yeah, you see that late movement. Yeah, same arm angle, same arm speed as his fastball, but it tumbles in there about 10 miles per hour slower.
A mile high in the air. And foul. Well, that time you started looking at the ceiling up there, wondering if it was going to hit something. It was close. Again, expecting some high winds in downtown Phoenix this afternoon, so an 80-degree day outside, but the roof and panels are closed. Ball 4. A chance for Trumbo with 2 on.
You know, Eric Chavez was only 2 for 10 lifetime against Dan Herron. It sure looked like Dan Herron didn't want much to do with Chavi in that at bat. Threw him a 3-1 splitter. Pulled that ball a mile high, just fouled down the right field line, and then came back with another splitter out of the strike zone for ball 4.
Trumbo 236, 5 homers and 15 RBIs. He had a 2-run double last night. Herron starts him off with a strike, 0-1.
Now that's the 2-seamer from Dan Herron. It doesn't really sink. It just has a little bit of tailing action. A nice complementary pitch to that cut fastball.
Trying to get comfortable out there. Already at 26 pitches in the inning. 13 balls, 13 strikes.
See the split finger grip right there. Starts with it behind his back and changing to something else, it appeared.
Trumbo not able to hold off there. It's 0-2.
And most pitchers that throw that split finger or have an odd grip on their changeup will start with the toughest grip and work their way back. If you start with a regular fastball grip and try to get to the split finger in your glove, that's when you tip things off to the opposing hitter. So you start with the toughest grip and work your way back.
Because the hitter can see you maneuvering the grip inside the glove?
Occasionally, yeah. You can see some slight movement either in the throwing arm or in the glove hand. Sometimes it's just an a time delay. It takes a little bit longer to get to the grip you want. So you always start with the toughest grip and then work your way back to the pitch you want to throw. It's like a splitter. That's why Ryan Dempster and a lot of other pitchers, Paco Rodriguez the other night, we showed him, sometimes they'll wiggle their glove on every pitch.
And Matt Garza does that a lot.
Guys that have probably given away pitches to hitters in the past. It's been detected through some video scouting or somebody on the bench noticed it, and one way to correct that is just wiggle the glove on every pitch.
Trumbo back even now, 2-2. And a 30-pitch first for Herron.
J.J. Putz wears long sleeves because he feels like hitters could possibly see some of the movement in the muscles in his forearm as he changed grips. Steve Finley used to swear that he could tell every pitch John Franco was throwing, the great left-handed reliever.
Sure.
Yeah, he said when he would go up into the glove, he could see some movement in the vein in his left forearm.
Come on.
That's what Finn said, and that's what the rest of the team said. Don't say anything else. Leave us alone.
Trumbo lays off there, and again, Herron has gone full. He's faced 5 batters in the inning and gone to 3 balls on 4 of them. A.J. Pollock on deck. Parra at second, Chavez at first. 2 outs. Runners will be off with a pitch. Just to make sure they don't get started too early, Herron looks back at Parra. He's been working.
Hmm. 1-0
Here go the runners. Called strike 3. Todd Tishner says strike 3. We just showed you runners left on base. Diamondbacks get 2 on in the first. They strand 2. No score through 1.
Fans support the D-backs.
Is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next, and by Jack in the Box. Try the new Bacon Insider at Jack in the Box. It's got bacon mixed right into the patty at participating restaurants. The beautiful state of Arizona. We are in downtown Phoenix. Finale of a 3-game set, the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Trevor Cahill with 2 strikeouts and a walk in the first. And back out there for the second, he'll work to Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, and Juan Uribe, 5, 6, and 7 in the LA second. Matt Kemp 0 for his last 11 up there. And Cahill starts him off with strike 1. Kemp has not had a base hit since a 2-homer game last Sunday. That was against the Giants at Dodger Stadium. Started the year on the DL and trying to get back in the swing of things.
Well, we have a moment here. Let's take a quick look at our Valley Honda keys to the game today. It's APS Green Series this weekend, so sticking with the theme. Efficiency. We need Trevor Cahill to be more efficient in the strike zone and, hey, give a green light to the offense. Only 1 run through the first 15 innings of this series. They did tack on 4 runs in the 8th and 9th last night, but give him the green light.
I like how you captured the theme of the APS Green Series here and tied it all into a nice, neat package for us. It's the kind of work you've been putting in this year between the pictures and the keys to the game.
Well, then with Trevor, we've been talking about it all season, going back to spring training. He needs to be more consistent with his mechanics, which will lead to him being more efficient in the strike zone and allow him to get deeper into the ball game.
He's ahead on Kemp, a ball and 2 strikes. Oh, look at Tuffy get out there in front of that one.
That ball's over in the other batter's box.
That's exactly what we were speaking about in the previous half inning.
And I mean, you need to do this as a catcher because in a 2-strike count, I've seen hitters swing at that pitch, and you want to make sure it doesn't go to the backstop and allow Kemp to reach on a swinging strike 3 and a wild pitch.
That one is a rocket to left. Matt Kemp, his 3rd home run, 1-0 LA. Boy, that made a sound that you don't hear a lot.
Very crisp. That's a noise that no pitcher likes to hear. Left that one up, belt high inside part of the plate. Kemp knew it right away. Ball rattling around out there in the Diamondbacks bullpen.
Andre Ethier takes strike one. Well, I mentioned Kemp, the 2-homer game a week ago against the Giants. And that was his first hit since. Andre Ethier back in the lineup today. It was not in the starting lineup last night. Did get an RBI, a pinch hit appearance in the ninth. And this is Ethier's first appearance in left field this season. Carl Crawford getting a second day off in a row. As Don Mattingly now with a healthy Kemp is really juggling in earnest. That 4 outfielders for 3 spot scenario. Right to Aaron Hill at second. No way. And so Crawford sits back-to-back games. Got to keep it in the yard.
Third baseman number 5, Juan Uribe.
Home runs are something you never really expect too many of when Trevor Cahill's on the mound because of that sinker slider changeup combination. All 3 pitches working down toward the ground, but clearly that pitch to Matt Kemp was belt high inside part of the plate.
Just the second home run given up by Trevor all year. Juan Uribe. Have a $4 beer. Best beer in baseball. Most fan-friendly beer in baseball at $4 a pop. You a fruit in your beer guy?
Yeah, on occasion.
I see the orange slices there. There's a strike.
I definitely am a fruit on a pizza guy. I like that occasional Hawaiian style.
Is there anything you won't eat on a pizza? Any kind of food at all?
Vegemite.
Oof, yeah, that's a good call. Stuff is nasty. Uribe yanks it foul. Boy, this guy against the Diamondbacks, for whatever reason, just scares you to death. He is a pain in the neck. 3 for 5 last night, couple of doubles, drove in 2, scored a run. Now, you gotta.
Whoops.
Oh, there's mustard everywhere. 2 and 2. Can we get him some napkins?
Poor timing. Foul ball comes his direction just as he's about to apply the condiments to his hot dog.
Well, you applied into his shirt instead. His shirt has become a Jackson Pollock painting. There's the strikeout. 3 strikeouts for Cahill. 2 down in the second.
Nice recovery after that long Matt Kemp home run to start the inning. You think of last night's ball game, the Dodgers in 5 of the 9 innings had the leadoff runner on base. 4 of those 5 times he came around to score.
Well, you're hoping that Trevor settles in here and just sort of looks at that one pitch to Kemp that was left up, as Bob mentioned, as just one mistake and an otherwise good effort. And he settled down with a ground ball and a strikeout. And there's strike 1 to Tim Fedorovich. Fedorovich, his second start behind the plate in this series. We saw Drew Butera last night. .92, right by him, 1 and 2.
Big out to get right here with Dan Herron, the pitcher, in the on-deck circle. Now, granted, Dan Herron is a real good hitting pitcher, but you'd much rather face the pitcher leading off the inning than D. Gordon.
4 strikeouts for Trevor Cahill. Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Here's the man who homered last night for the Diamondbacks. A.J. Pollock leads off the second. The Phillies, Friday, April 25th, features Zombie Night, and then post-game fireworks. Then be one of the first 20,000 fans on Saturday, April 26th, and you'll get a Patrick Corbin bobblehead, courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM. Visit dbacks.com/tickets for details. Zombie Night, followed by Patrick Corbin bobblehead day. That's a pretty good weekend.
Big weekend.
And I have seen some of the artist renderings of our photographs for Zombie Night, and I got to tell you, they look pretty lifelike, which is ironic considering they're zombies. Strike one to A.J. Pollock. Sadly, some of them you can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
So you'll get a look at those for the Phillies series. Follow the Phillies. A.J. the pinch hit home run last night. Snacks. Lemonade, just like Grandma made. He holds up, says Jeff Kellogg. A.J. had the home run last night off Zach Greinke. Stayed in the ball game, finished 1 for 3. Dan Herron, 18 balls, 18 strikes. His second strikeout.
My partner, special guest in the house today, and when I say special, I mean special. Legendary ASU baseball coach Bobby Winkles there in the blue shirt, sitting next to Roland Heeman. Of course, this is the last season for Packard Stadium over on campus in Tempe. Bobby Winkles in town as part of the festivities this weekend. I mean, I went to college back in southeastern Ohio, Mid-America Conference, Ohio University. I had heard of Bobby Winkles. He was big.
A lot of baseball knowledge in that shot right there.
Woo. Yeah, he mentored a lot of players that came through that Sun Devil program and went on to play in the major leagues.
Chris Owings and the Sun Devils will move over to Phoenix Muni, and they're doing some great work on Phoenix Muni. They're going to take out some of those bleachers on the side there, put in a grass berm, and it should be a nice ballpark for the ASU program. And the A's, of course, are moving over to Mesa, where the Cubs used to be. 2 balls and a strike. Chris back in the starting lineup today. Had Cliff Pennington out there last night, 2-2 now. And Chris got off to a great start this year after winning the shortstop job in spring training. 8 hits in his first 18 at bats. But since then, Owings is 3 for his last 23.
Growing pains.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess that's to be expected.
Yeah, I think everybody involved with the organization knew there were going to be stretches where Chris Owings struggled, especially up there at the plate. The good news is his defense has been really solid. He's a very confident young man. But it's nice to have a guy like that able to fill in. Cliff Pennington, 2 knocks and an RBI in the ball game last night.
Over the second base spot and into center field. Chris Owings. Diamondbacks have a 1-out base runner.
Chris Owings sticking with that approach that's worked so well for him in the early going this season. Stay up the middle of the field. That one right back up the runway, over the mound, over second base, on into center field.
So the Diamondbacks, who stranded 2 in the first, have a 1-out base runner in the second for Tuffy Gozowicz. Speaking of ASU, the former Sun Devil in there. Tuffy played on that Arizona State team that played in the College World Series in 05 and was actually the MVP on that ASU team.
See the hits by direction for Chris Owings this season, staying up the middle, opposite field. I think that's a great approach for a young hitter. As he gets more familiar with opposing pitchers and counts that they try to challenge him on the inside part of the plate, I think that's when you'll see him start to turn on some balls, and he's got some pop in that bat.
Turner Ward, the hitting coach. Tuffy's had only 5 at-bats all year so far. This is his second start of the season behind the plate. Tuffy's a deep thinker. He's a big golfer. Loved to play golf, and somebody asked him, what's your dream group that you'd play with? He said Jesus, Gandhi, and Leonardo da Vinci.
Wow.
So when you're playing with that group, you play it as it lies.
Can't pencil whip those guys. No. I think he just said that because he knows he can beat them all. He'll take home all the dough. Gandhi was a big hitter.
So was the llama. Owings running on the pitch. Hanley has to go to first. And Owings is at second now with 2 outs.
Anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, we'll see if Trevor Cahill can slap one through the infield here and deliver Owings from second. Glenn Sherlock responsible at third for the base runner. Notice pitchers always tend to work more quickly when they're facing their opposite number.
I was just thinking the same thing, but they work tougher when there's a runner in scoring position. If there was nobody on base, Dan Herron probably just rears back and throws 3 fastballs down the middle of the plate, trying to encourage Trevor Cahill to put it in play and make a quick out. But with a runner in scoring position, he's throwing cutters off the outside corner, checking that runner at second base, making sure Chris Owings doesn't get too big of a walking lead out there. That's an earned run standing out there at second base, so Dan Herron is going to bear down on Trevor.
2-2. Bounce to short. Ramirez. Diamondbacks get a 1-out single. They strand the runner. We are through 2. Dodgers leading 1-0.
Dodgers by the score of 1-0. I'm joined by a very special athlete, Ronnie Jones, getting ready to compete in the Nationals back in New Jersey in swimming. But you had a special treat today, as a lot of your teammates here from Arizona Special Olympics had a chance to be on the field. You got to throw out the first pitch. Tell me what that was like.
It was amazing, but it was a quiet deal, but it was good.
And A.J. Pollock got to catch that pitch. He's done a lot of work throughout the years with Special Olympics. You had a chance to talk to A.J. What was that like?
It was very special to me. We had a special moment, and it feels honored to be with A.J. Pollock. He's a part of my favorite player.
Now, all of your teammates are getting ready to go back to Nationals in New Jersey. Tell me what that experience is going to be like. First time for you going to Nationals.
Well, it was great because I got a chance to be with my team, and I've been competing in the swimming, and I'm very, very honored to be a part of this team.
Now, they tell me you're a really good all-around athlete. You play basketball, you play baseball, you do track and field, you do soccer. Is there anything you can't do?
Nope, I can do everything.
And do it well.
And I can do it very good.
And you're very humble, too. I like that about you.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, when you talk about the Special Olympics experience, I've had a chance to MC some of the opening ceremonies. Well, what does it mean to you and your friends when you get a chance to walk out there and compete against other athletes?
Well, first off, first my teammates is actually not my friends, but they're actually my teammates. But if they cannot win, they have to be brave.
And there's also something new this year called the Unified Sports Program, where everyone can kind of participate in these games. How has that been for you?
It's been good. You got a chance to be with a partner from like high school or in college, and that is very good because you got a chance to compete and have fun.
What has been your most memorable experience being a part of Special Olympics?
The best moment of my life is when I shot my first basket when I was very little, and then and I told my grandma, who said, "Hey, I made a shot! I made a shot!" And it's like that was really good.
How many medals do you have?
I have a ton.
A ton, literally a ton. As the base hit goes to right field to start the top of the third here, and actually they nail him. The Gold Glover, Gerardo Parra, with the laser to first to nail the runner at first, guys.
Don't run on Gerardo Parra, the two-time Gold Glover. He will come up throwing.
Boy, you could almost feel that coming. Gerardo Parra is always looking to throw somebody out at first base if they don't get out of the box quickly, especially in the case of a pitcher. Dan Herron probably figuring his batting average as he was leaving that box, and Gerardo Parra guns him down at first base.
The rare 9-3 putout.
How about that? That's his 38th outfield assist since the beginning of the 2011 season, far and away leading the National League.
And when they're hit shallow enough to right and hard enough, he's got a chance to get not just the slow-moving pitchers, but just about anybody. Last year, no outfielder in the big leagues had more assists than Gerardo Parra's 17. Let's go back to Brad.
Well, thanks, guys. Just a reminder, you can go onto the dbacks.com/everybody wins if you want to donate to the Special Olympics cause. Also, Parker & Sons doing something great all season long where they're donating some money for each service call they do this year, hoping to raise $300,000 to $400,000. And finally, Ronnie, best of luck back there, and your teammates have fun.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we'll send it back to you. Great stuff here.
Thanks, guys. dbacks.com/everybody wins is the place to go for all the information. For the second time of the ball game, Trevor Cahill has walked the fastest runner in the game, and Gordon's aboard with his second walk.
Right fielder, Yasiel Puig.
Time for Puig. Puig struck out his first time. Playing with that strained left thumb ligament. He suffered sliding headfirst into first base a week ago against the Giants. Missed a couple of games. Here's a look. They've fitted him with a splint on that left thumb. So that hand is a little bulky.
You just know D. Gordon is trying to pick a pitch to run on down there at first base. He's feeling it, as you said, going all the way back to spring training. He's been running extremely well this year. He's in a battle for more playing time at second base, and any chance he gets to showcase his #1 weapon, he's going to do it.
Well, Gordon was funny about his sudden opportunity and improvement and his breakthrough start to this season. He said, "I ain't doing no daydreaming. Daydreaming gets you in trouble." So he's locked in. And Trevor Cahill certainly keeping an eye on what's happening at first base. Tony Campana, Turner Ward. One and 0 to Puig.
Well, ideally, those pickoff throws to first base, even though they haven't been close this go round, take some of the spring out of D. Gordon's legs over there. Maybe he gets a 1/10 of a second or 3/10 of a second lesser jump toward second base, and sometimes that makes all the difference in the world.
There he goes. He's 2 for 2. Now 7 steals on the year for the speedy D. Gordon.
Good jump over there. Good speed once again by Gordon. I mentioned earlier with Trevor Cahill on the mound, occasionally it's tough to throw out runners at second base because of the late movement. Watch where this pitch ends up. Down and in off the plate. Tuffy has to reach all the way to his left to receive the pitch, drag it all the way back across his body to get into a throwing position. And with somebody as speedy as D. Gordon, that's going to take way too much time.
Okay, Hill was able to strand Gordon at second back in the first. He's behind 2-0 on Puig with 1 out. Gordon takes off for third. No throw. D. Gordon applying the pressure.
Just not enough attention paid that time. You've got to make sure he's stopped out there.
So make it 8 steals now for Gordon. 3 in the ball game, and it's only the 3rd inning. In the meantime, 3 balls and no strikes to Yasiel Puig.
You know, one tip-off when a guy is possibly thinking about stealing third as Puig draws the base on balls. Look at the lead of D. Gordon. Almost directly in line to third base. Now, generally, the base runner at second base will drop 5, 10, 15 feet behind the baseline to make it easier to round the bag at third. But the base stealers get right in the baseline. The most direct route, obviously, is a straight line from point A to point B. Base stealers lead off directly in line to third base, and Gordon stole that one easily.
3 steals in a ball game ties a career high for D. Gordon. So now he's at third. Puig, after Cahill's 3rd walk of the ball game, is at first. 1 out, and Cahill will work to Hanley Ramirez. Hanley a strikeout victim his first time after going hitless last night.
Shortstop Hanley Ramirez.
So 2 runners on ahead of the heart of the LA order with 1 out in the 3rd. Puig takes off. The throw from Tuffy. Not in time. First stolen base of the year for Yasiel Puig, and the Dodgers are running wild on Cahill.
Boy, he is the worst slider in the National League.
At least he slid feet first that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that most players learn very early on in their careers, but Yasiel Puig.
What was wrong with that one?
Oh, I mean, generally, you bend one leg underneath and extend the other leg, but he bends the back leg underneath. I don't know. I can't even describe what that is. They have a slide they call a figure four. For example, you bend your left leg underneath, you extend your right leg for the bag. And then when the right leg hits the bag, you kind of pop up out of your slide. He just tries to get there as quickly as he can with a body part.
You see him fitted with that brace. They have him wearing that to try and discourage him from sliding headfirst into any bag. We mentioned he's already playing with a strained left thumb ligament. Suffered sliding into first base a week ago. So he wears that on the bases, but obviously he can't wear it when he hits. So they're not able to prevent him from sliding into first base head first. They think they have the rest of the bases covered. So back-to-back walks for Cahill. Now it's 3-1 on Ramirez. Goldie well off the line at first base and into the edge of the grass. 3 balls and 2 strikes. High chopper. Cahill's under it. And he's not able to throw out Ramirez. Gordon scores, and it's 2-0 Dodgers. Simply hit too high to get the out at first. Took forever to come down.
Oh, banged right off of home plate. Got that trampoline effect. That thing went way up in the air.
Goes in the books as an RBI single.
Right off the plate. One of the few times you'll see Hanley Ramirez really busted down that first baseline. He could smell an RBI and a base hit. Cahill with a nice play to get rid of it quickly, but just couldn't get Ramirez at first.
So it's 2-0 LA. Puig the runner at third. And Hanley Ramirez at first. Adrian Gonzalez flied out to left his first time. Swung at the first pitch in that at bat. You see Gozowicz setting up down and away here. Gonzalez an 8-game hit streak, batting more than .340 during his streak, including 4 home runs. There's the strike, 0-1. How about this? Adrian Gonzalez, 59 career games in this ballpark, 56 RBIs.
Wow.
Boy, Tuffy moves around back there really well.
You know, it's very easy to see the range in a shortstop or a second baseman or a center fielder, but for a catcher it's a little more subtle. But Tuffy Gosowicz has as good a range behind the plate as any catcher in the National League. Batter's box to batter's box.
And especially important when you're catching a guy like Cahill who can uncork one from time to time. A ball and a strike. That one is crushed high and deep and gone. He's done it again. Adrian Gonzalez has homered in each game of this series. A 3-run shot makes it 5-0 LA. And he is 6 for 10 in this series. He has driven in 10, including 3 homers.
Oh. Ball just fluttered up there on the inside part of the plate. Looked like a changeup he wanted down in the zone, but left it up over the inside part of the plate. And that's what happens when you make mistakes to a red-hot hitter. 8 straight games with an extra base hit for Adrian Gonzalez.
You mentioned Adrian Gonzalez at the top of the show. Look at the numbers in this series, and we're only through 2 1/3 today. Matt Kemp, 1-1. Kemp homered his last time up. A little recreation here. He just makes it look so effortless with that swing, and you look down and he's crushed it.
He's just not mishitting anything. I mean, everything he's hit in this series has been right on the sweet spot of the bat.
So Trevor Cahill, who had given up only 1 home run all year coming into the ball game, has given up 2. He has walked 3, and he's down 5-0. 3-2 now on Kemp. The inning started with Gerardo Parra throwing Dan Herron out at first on a base hit to right field. A walk to Gordon, a walk to Puig. 3 stolen bases in the inning, 2 by Gordon, 1 by Puig. A single by Ramirez, the homer to Gonzalez, and now the walk to Kemp. That's 4 walks in the ball game for Cahill, and 3 in this inning.
Left fielder, Andre Ethier.
And it's gotten away from Trevor in a hurry here in the 3rd.
Randall Delgado jumping up off the chair down there, starting to crank it up a little bit. Well, Stottlemyre Jr., the bullpen coach, headed toward the phone. Mike Harkey ringing down there. We're going to get some activity.
Of course, Josh Colmenter has been moved to the starting rotation. He starts tomorrow against the Mets. Ethier knocks the first pitch back up the box and into center. Walk, walk, single, homer, walk, single. After the first out was recorded in the inning. And Tuffy Gozowicz goes out there to slow things down. Sanderson Ford bullpen, Randall Delgado.
Strictly a stalling tactic here by Tuffy Gozowicz to allow Randall Delgado, who has been starting, a little more time to get loose down there. It's probably going to take him a little longer than guys who have been pitching out of the bullpen all season. A guy like Josh Colmenter probably only needs a half a dozen pitches or so, plus the 8 he gets on the mound on the field, and he'll be ready to go. But Delgado may take a little bit longer.
Strike 1 to Juan Uribe. He struck out his first time. Diamondbacks looking for the 2010 Trevor Cahill. That's when Trevor won 18 games with the Oakland Athletics as a 22-year-old. But since coming over to the Diamondbacks before the 2012 season, Cahill with Arizona 21-25. The ERA is over 4. Here's Tuffy Gozowicz again. Runners stay put.
This is about the time of the ball game I used to like to see somebody's shoe come untied or get something in your eye. Just anything you can do to slow the momentum down here, plus give Delgado an opportunity to get loose in that bullpen.
6 straight have reached base for LA. And Kirk Gibson did his best to downplay the idea that Trevor Cahill's rotation spot is dependent on this start today, saying the Diamondbacks are all confident that Trevor has good stuff and can apply it. But it's unraveled quickly in the 3rd. He did not go, says Jeff Kellogg. What they've liked about Trevor is the way he's worked with the coaching staff and has been open to suggestions, and they have seen him repeating his delivery more, making some progress. But when you walk guys ahead of Ramirez and Gonzalez and those types, you run into trouble. That's fine.
Well, the problem is Trevor Cahill was not a guy that you expected to have to give that much rope. He was a guy they were counting on to eat up some innings and be a solid starter in this rotation. And, you know, some of the words we've heard in reference to Trevor Cahill, it's like he's new to the mound. Repeating his delivery and giving him a lot of patience. This is a veteran major league pitcher who's getting paid handsomely to eat up those innings and keep his team in ball games.
And you remember last year he went from May 17th to August 17th without winning a game. But when he came back, he was a much more effective pitcher. And you remember those last 9 appearances last year, during which he went 5-0 with a 2.70 ERA. And you were hoping to get that guy to begin this year. And it hasn't been the case. He did go this time, says Kellogg. And they ring up Uribe. That's 5 strikeouts for Cahill, 2 down.
Good hard slider that time, ahead in the count to 2 strikes. Uribe just cannot check his swing. Another good block by Tuffy.
High above Chase Field. Lots of ball game left here with Matt Kemp on second, Andre Ethier on first. 2 outs, and the 9th man to bat in this inning, Tim Fedorovich, the catcher. He struck out his first time. Ducks underneath a breaking ball, 1-0. 40 pitches in the inning. One and one now. And the thing that's curious with Cahill is he's considered to be the hardest working pitcher on this staff, both in season and off season. The trainers will tell you that. He really does disguise a tremendous work ethic. He's a fairly laid back guy out there, but he has spent a lot of time over the last 2 off seasons stepping up the workout programs, getting himself in the best possible shape. He's tried different diets. There was the gluten-free, kind of gave that up. It didn't work for him. He was hoping, he said, to kind of refocus this year, get a fresh start. He strikes out Fedorovich. 6 strikeouts for Cahill, but 9 come up for the Dodgers. They get 4 and they lead it 5-0. At Chase Field. Hey, do you think you're Arizona's #1 super fan? Well, if so, now is the time to prove it. Show the entire state. Just log on to foxsportsarizona.com/superfan for all the details.
That Ram truck out there in right field, I'm not sure if I like the Sedona red one last year or that silver. Boy, that's a pretty looking truck.
Loaded up with food here at the ballpark and tailgate. Ram Truck's proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Gerardo Parra will lead off the third. Parra, Hill, Goldschmidt, 1, 2, and 3 against Dan Herron, who so far has given up 2 hits, both singles, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Parra single and stole second his first time. Last season, Dan Herron pitched for the Washington Nationals on a 1-year free agent deal after coming over from the Angels, and he's here with the Dodgers on another 1-year contract. He's become something of a vagabond at the age of 33. Last year, disappointing with the Nationals, 10-14, a 4.67 ERA, and more hits allowed than innings pitched, but he has been outstanding so far through 2 starts with the Dodgers. He's ahead on Gerardo Parra, a ball and 2 strikes. Shoots it the other way to left. It backs up Ethier, backing up, still looking up, and it's off the wall. Parra heads for second. Gerardo Parra, his 3rd double. Leadoff man aboard for the D-backs in the 3rd against Herron. He's 2 for 2.
Second baseman.
Good to see Parra driving that ball to the opposite field this year. Such a good approach, and hits it the other way with power this time. Chases Ethier all the way back to the barrier. Played the carom nicely, but Parra in easily at second base with a double.
Diamondbacks trying to answer down 5-0 after that 4-run LA third. Here's Aaron Hill. Grounded out his first time. Still waiting for Aaron to kind of get going here this year. He does have 6 doubles, but he's driven in just 3 runs. And Aaron said when he was in Toronto and not hitting the way he wanted to, he'd take his frustrations out in the weight room. Start bench pressing, squats, trying to see how much he could lift. But now he has changed the way he works out. Much bigger emphasis on flexibility. Drives that to left center. They'll wave Parra. And Aaron Hill heads for second. Aaron Hill wheels up in for third. Safe. Well, it only took 2 batters to answer, and it's 5-1. We've had a little run on triples here lately, BB.
Yeah, and this is a triple out of the batter's box. You know, a lot of youngsters think you get triples by running hard between second and third, but you get triples by running hard out of the batter's box. Aaron Hill didn't assume that was just going to be a double in the gap. Ends up at third base with nobody out.
Paul Goldschmidt looks at a ball 1-0. Goldie flied out his first time. Goldie has hit safely in 12 of the D-backs' 14 games this year. 6 of those are multi-hit games. Aaron getting a little frustrated. He's behind 3-0. To short. Hill will score. Ramirez throws Goldie out RBI, and it's 5-2. 9th RBI on the year for Goldie.
That's been a trademark of Kirk Gibson's teams. He likes to turn his guys loose 3-0. Probably not the exact result Goldie was looking for, but the ground ball to short will get the second run of the game on the plate for the Diamondbacks.
Important to answer with at least 2 here.
I think it's huge. Yeah, just to get back in the ballgame.
Chavez high and deep to right. Say goodbye. Diamondbacks are a single away from the cycle in the inning against Herron, and quickly it's a 5-3 ball game.
It's even better to answer with 3 or more.
We'll take it. Jumped on the first pitch.
Wow. I mean, just a middle of the plate meatball for Eric Chavez. A towering home run to right field. Well, I think that's absolutely huge for the Diamondbacks, not only offensively, but for the entire ball club. When you're struggling and you're not scoring a lot of runs, your pitching staff's not getting the other team out very often, you can fall into that. Here we go again. Certainly would have been easy to do after that top half of the third inning, but they bounce right back here with 3 of their own in the bottom.
And you look at the body language, look at the expressions in the dugout. There's the spark, there's the energy level. It's come back up as Chavez gets a hanging nothing ball from Herron and hammers it out of here to right. So the Diamondbacks, after watching the Dodgers get 4 in the top of the third, have answered by going double, triple, RBI ground out homer against Herron. It's a 5-3 ball game. Mark Trumbo.
All right at you, partner. Close.
Missed it by that much.
We had a shot there of Dan Herron's face after he gets a sign from Fedorovich. He goes into his windup. He looks down into his glove. He kind of looks over toward the third base dugout. Looks up to the bill of his cap. Well, for years, you teach kids to keep your eyes on your target. Keep your eyes on where you want the ball to go. But Dan Herron apparently doesn't adhere to that theory. Looks down into his glove, looks over at third base, kind of takes a peek at the bill of his cap. There was another Dodger pitcher that used to take that peek up to the bill of his cap.
He's a few booths down from us.
Fernando Valenzuela looking to the heavens before delivering the ball to home plate.
There's the great Fernando. Dodger radio. Well, if you include today, Dan Herron was a Fernando-like. First 14 innings, 1 earned run. This inning, giving up 3 earned. Parr doubled, Hill tripled. RBI ground out by Goldie, a Chavez homer. Now here's Trumbo. It's full, 3-2. And Herron has not been sharp. 71 pitches. Got him at 32 balls and 39 strikes, so almost 50-50. He strikes out Trumbo for the second time today.
Center field, A.J. Pollock.
A.J. Pollock struck out his first time. There's a strike, 0-1. Eric Chavez got a triple and a home run in the book so far. And that triple in San Francisco. Three hopper to short. Hanley has it, and that's the inning. But after a Parr a double, it's Aaron Hill, a triple to the gap in left center. And then 2 batters later, Eric Chavez hits his first home run of the year. The Diamondbacks answer. It's a 5-3 ball game. working up an appetite already here as we start the 4th inning. Dodgers were out in front 5-0. Diamondbacks have answered with a 3-run third against Dan Herron, and now Herron leads off the 4th against Trevor Cahill. Herron had a base hit to right his first time up until Gerardo Parra came up throwing and threw him out at first on what was a clean single. So it's a 9-3 putout thanks to the Gold Glover.
Boy, and after throwing 43 pitches in that top half of the 3rd inning, Trevor Cahill could really use a short pitch inning right here.
This was Dan Herron's last at bat. Look out for Gerardo Parra in right.
Well, we know Gerardo loves to do this. Hasn't had a lot of opportunities. Larry Walker from the Colorado Rockies used to be very adept at this play. Probably none better than Andre Dawson. Whoa,
the Hawk.
The Hawk. He would gun guys down at first base all the time.
It was at least until he disappeared into the ivy in Wrigley and was never found again. That, by the way, the first 9-3 putout in Arizona Diamondbacks history as Cahill records his 7th strikeout to open the 4th. First ever 9-3 putout for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Who else but Gerardo Parra?
Second baseman, D. Gordon.
D. Gordon has walked twice and stolen 3 bases in the ball game. He walked his last at bat, stole second, then stole third. We have only seen, in fact, speaking of those 9-3 putouts, 9 of them in all of Major League Baseball since 2009. And Parra records the first one ever for the Diamondbacks. Chris Owings, the backhander, got a hurry. Nice play by CO. Some COD. 2 up, 2 down. Good start for Cahill.
Well, great footwork on that play for Chris Owings to get his body into a position so as soon as he scooped that backhander, he could fire across the diamond. Plenty of arm that time to get Gordon.
And thank our friends at Stats Inc. for the numbers on the 9-3 putouts. Alan Trammell from the dugout. He's been working with Chris Owings. Pretty good instructor if you're trying to learn how to play shortstop in the big leagues. Yasiel Puig has struck out and walked. He's also stolen a base and scored a run. Puig in the series 3 for 10. Had a pair of hits last night. And he was batting in the leadoff spot. Good pitch there, 1-1. That's the pitch. Stuff.
Especially for a guy that's struggling with a bad thumb. Anytime you have a hand or wrist injury, thumb injury, it's tough to get to those inside pitches, especially sinkers that are biting down and in like that.
This hard sink down and into the righty. Another good pitch from Cahill. 1-2 now. That's the stuff that they want him to just trust. Just throw it down there. That bowling ball sinker. Breaking ball, ring him up and sit him down. Cahill answers with a 1-2-3-8. He's got 8 strikeouts. He gets Herron, retires Gordon, and rings up Puig. It's 5-3 in the 4th.
Game work faster right now, think less. Just mechanical things, trying to get him so he can repeat his delivery more. I mean, last year I think he did lead the league in wild pitches. He's bounced a lot. He's doing less of that. He kind of started out with fastball command. He started working into his secondary pitches. I think his secondary stuff's coming right now.
Well, our quote of the game brought to you by Kirk Gibson and Geico. And yeah, really, Trevor Cahill, one of those guys that's really tough to figure out. A very, very smart young man. And I think that sometimes, guys, is part of the problem. He overthinks things, and it's tough to tell a guy out there not to think his way through a game. But when he relies just on his pure stuff, which is absolutely electric, he does well. But he can be that pitcher that gives up a bunch of runs and comes back the next inning and goes 1, 2, 3. It's just one of those riddles that the D-backs are still trying to figure out.
Well, as they say, don't think you can only hurt the ball club. But, Brad, that's tough in Trevor's case, as we've talked about this before. He's a very bright guy. He had committed to a pitch for Dartmouth in the Ivy League out of high school. Had a 1900 on his SATs. But he chose to sign with the Yankees instead. Chris Owings 2 for 2. And another good start for the Diamondbacks against Herron.
2 at-bats, 2 hits, both of them right back up the middle of the field for Chris Owings today.
Catcher, Tuffy goes a wish.
Here's Tuffy. Grounded out to short his first time. His second start of the season. Miguel Montero the day off. There's a strike. We've seen a lot of wild base running in this ball game. Dodgers have stolen 4 bases. D-backs have 1. Gerardo Parra. Keep an eye on Owings, who's 4 for 4 this year in stolen base attempts. Right back to the mound. Herron spins and throws. Gordon turns 2.
Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game. 3 days in a row we've had a finalist for that Sanderson Ford vehicle at the end of the season.
That's the biggie. Nice. Little TCBY here at the ballpark. Hello. Trevor Cahill grounded out his first at bat. As Herron gets up over 80 pitches now. Through 3 2/3. Trevor Cahill finds a gap. We'll see how fast Trevor can run. That's fast enough. This is actual speed.
When you hit him in a gap, you don't have to run hard to get to second base.
See if the Diamondbacks can get a 2-out run here with Parra, who's 2 for 2. He has singled, doubled, stolen a base, and scored a run. Just chip away. Got 3 in the third. Try to steal 1 here in the fourth. They want the souvenir. Hello.
Kind of an undercover pickoff attempt right there, really, if you think about it. Well, if Herron had sold it a little better and act like he received the ball out there on the mound, might have been able to catch Trevor Cahill out there at second base. A little miscommunication. We talked about this before Game 1 of the series with no A.J. Ellis behind the plate, who undoubtedly is their staff leader back there. Not to take anything away from Fedorovich or Butera, but Dodgers pitching staff very comfortable with A.J. Ellis behind the plate, having to adjust to the two backups.
And the Diamondbacks need to take advantage here of Herron, because Ryu was absolute nails on Friday. 2 hits in 7. Greinke outstanding yesterday. And it's clear that Herron isn't super sharp here this afternoon. He's at 84 pitches already. Gave up 3 in the last inning. And so when you get a Dodger starter on the ropes these days, you have to take advantage, because those chances, based on their personnel, just don't come around all that often. A ball and 2 strikes. There's the strikeout. That's 4 for Herron. And the Diamondbacks strand the 2-out double. We are through 4. It's a 5-3 ball game here at Chase Field.
And a Miller Lake there.
Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. Diamondback Nation, another big crowd here at Chase Field. 31,757 in here this afternoon. And for the 3-game series, we're over 103,000. Great job by D-backs fans supporting their ball club here at Chase.
Absolutely. Great weekend of baseball. Hopefully the Diamondbacks salvage a game of this 3-game series. But the fans, you deserve a pat on the back. Way to do it.
They have been filing in and out of Chase Field here all weekend long. The occasional blue shirt mixed in among the Sedona Red. But Diamondback fans have been out here supporting their ball club and hoping for a comeback here, down 5-0 at one point. Diamondbacks have answered to make it 5-3. And now Trevor Cahill is back out to start the 5th inning. He'll work to Hanley Ramirez, Adrian Gonzalez, and Matt Kemp, 3, 4, and 5. Hanley 1 for 2. He has struck out. Had an RBI single and scored a run his last time. Cahill has retired the last 5 he's faced. And a nice bounce back inning in the 4th after that rocky 3rd. But he's facing the sharp end of the LA lineup here. Inside 1-0. And you always got to be careful with El Nino. Getting better than 370 for his career at Chase Field. Lorenzo Bundy at 3rd. Big difference this spring with Gonzalez on deck, for Hanley anyway, is health. Remember what he went through last year. He missed 52 games with injuries last season. In fact, opened the year on the DL. Remember, he had that thumb surgery last March after that injury in the World Baseball Classic. And then came back, and in only his 4th game off the DL, he strained his left hammy. So with all the injuries, was not able to play in even 90 games for the Dodgers last year. And still finished 8th in the MVP voting. That tells you what kind of a season he had when he was in there. He averaged a home run every 15 at bats. 3-1. Of course, Hanley has talked about how he wants to be a Dodger for life now. Free agency coming up. They've been working on a deal, but it's been quiet on that front lately. That's 5 walks issued by Trevor Cahill. And we are walking guys ahead of Adrian Gonzalez, who in this series has been our APS Energy All-Star. In fact, if you go back to the previous game the Dodgers played before coming in here, that was Wednesday against the Tigers. Gonzalez has now homered in 4 straight games, and he's done it for the first time in his career since 2011. Randall Delgado in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. So 4 games in a row with a home run for Gonzalez. He homered his last time up. He is 6 for 10 in the series with 10 RBIs.
The thing about Adrian Gonzalez is even when he's not locked in, he's a good hitter. But when he is locked in, he's as dangerous, as he's proven in this series, as anybody in the game. First Dodger since '02 with 8 straight games with an extra base hit since former D-back Sean Green.
Yanks that into the right field corner. Ramirez is on the run. They will stop him at 3rd. And they cannot get Adrian Gonzalez out.
Adrian Gonzalez might have a bone to pick with Hanley Ramirez here. He's kind of jogging around second, jogging to second, third, pulled up. Lorenzo Bundy was waving him around the entire time, but just couldn't get Hanley to get his motor running.
Kirk Gibson may have seen enough here. Randall Delgado has been warming. And Trevor Cahill exits. He goes 4+, strikes out 8, walks 5. He leaves trailing 5-3.
Top of the 5th, couple Dodgers in scoring position, including that guy. Man, these are the 3 home runs we've seen so far in this series from Adrian Gonzalez. Pitched down on the inner third of the plate. a breaking ball that hung up on the outer part of the plate, and a changeup that just flooded up there on the inside part. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard to all parts of the ballpark. Just absolutely locked in. 10 of his 14 hits this year have gone for extra bases.
The day ends for Trevor Cahill. He's responsible for Ramirez at third and Gonzalez at second. And here's Randall Delgado, new member of the Diamondback bullpen. A strike to Matt Kemp. Randall Delgado lost his rotation spot. You see the ERA is over 10. Josh Colmenter will take his turn. And Colmenter will make his first start tomorrow against the Mets right here.
Randall going with the glasses today. It's kind of been hit or miss his start in Colorado. He wore the glasses. His last time out he did not wear the glasses, but has them on here today. First time pitching out of the bullpen this season.
Kemp is homered and walked. .95 from Delgado, 1-2. Randall Delgado says he's always been a starter. That's how he views himself. But if he has to go pitch out of the bullpen, that's okay. Wants to be a starter, but he will do what he's asked. And he opens up by striking out Kemp. Some heat from Delgado in that at bat.
Left fielder Andre Ethier.
Good fastballs in that sequence. Just rushed a couple right past Matt Kemp. And we saw Randall Delgado at Coors Field in Colorado working with Mike Harkey in center field. You'll notice occasionally Delgado really falls off to the first base side of the mound, and to try to remedy that situation and get him more lined up with his target and going toward home plate, Mike had him stand with his back against the outfield wall and then simulate his delivery, because obviously with your back against the outfield wall you can't fall to your left.
Andre Ethier singled his last time up. And this is a young man who throws hard, as an excellent changeup. Just 24 years old. And if he can spot that fastball at 94-95 and mix in that very effective changeup and keep it down in the strike zone, he can be, as we saw last year, very effective. And he really did a good job of solidifying the rotation through last summer when he came up in the middle of June. There's another example. Just spot that fastball.
Geez, just rear back 95 four-seamer right on that outside corner.
Ooh, that's going to work every time. You show him that a couple of times, then drop that changeup on him. You're going to have a lot of success. A ball and 2 strikes. Sticking with a fastball here. Trevor Cahill, Brandon McCarthy. Hanley Ramirez walked. Gonzalez doubled. Kemp struck out. Here's Ethier. Hard to first. Goldie is there. Thought about coming home. They'll concede the run and take the out. It's 6-3. Hit hard enough, Bob, to give Goldie enough time to consider coming home.
Yeah, maybe if the ball is hit to the right side of his body on his throwing side, maybe he does go home. But when that ball was hit to his left, he would have had to turn his entire body back around to get off an accurate throw to home plate. Just wasn't worth the risk.
They trade the out for the run. Uribe now in a 6-3 ball game. That's out of play. Uribe is 0 for 2. He has struck out twice. Two outs, a run in. Adrian Gonzalez at third in what is now a 6-3 ball game. And part of the progression with Randall Delgado has been the development of a third pitch, some kind of breaking ball to work in there with that fastball changeup mix. I haven't quite found it yet.
He doesn't have to throw a lot of them. You know, as you said, his fastball's good. His changeup is good most of the time. If he can just mix in an occasional slider for a strike, just to plant a seed in the opposing hitter's mind. He doesn't have to use it a lot. It doesn't have to be a go-to pitch, but it has to be in his repertoire.
Misses away, 3-1. Uribe slaps it the other way, but foul. Saw Dave Abdu jump out there to play the carom, but never did get one. And Uribe will get a new bat. Watch Dave anticipate the carom here and play the break. But it one hop the fence. Very instinctive. We've got Dick Roberson manning the left field line and Dave down the right field line. It's full on Uribe with 2 outs. That guy has had a season in a series here. Knocks it down. They don't have a play. Gonzalez scores. It's 7-3 Los Angeles. Hit high in the air on the hop. Goldie had to jump up, couldn't corral it, was able to knock it down, but not able to make a play in time enough to get Uribe. And the run scores.
Yeah, hit him in the glove. He recovered nicely and fires onto Delgado, but Uribe just got down the line a little bit too quickly.
They put an error up on the board. It's a tough error. E3. Roll to second. They got a short way for the force on Uribe. But the Dodgers add 2 more, take a 7-3 lead. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Coming up, the cleanup man today, Eric Chavez, who homered his last time up.
score of 7-3. Last night's starter, Wade Miley, sporting a brand new look today as he completely shaved off all that hair he had grown during the offseason. His very good friend growing up, Johnny Santangelo, in fact, they played a lot of baseball together, found out a while ago that he had a very aggressive form of brain tumor. He initially heard it was inoperable by a lot of doctors, but through some of the D-backs personnel, they were able to find someone at the Barrow Neurological Institute that would actually perform a surgery on Johnny, and he had that a little while ago. And so to kind of support his friend, he decided to shave off all of his hair because over the next few months, Johnny is undergoing lots of radiation and chemotherapy. But he was a great baseball player during his day, drafted in '04 by the Royals. And there was Wade Miley yesterday. So dramatic change, but certainly for a great friend and a great cause. You know, we've seen Wade, just really grow as a human being, as a baseball player over the last couple of years. And this has been something that's meant a great deal to him. After he got back from Australia, he flew back to Louisiana to spend some time with his friend. But all reports now are he's doing good, and hopefully that chemo and radiation will help get him back on track.
Thank you, Brad. There's the new look for Wade. Quite a different from last night, that's for sure. Aaron Hill had an RBI triple and scored a run his last time. Right to Gordon at second. Here's Goldie. An RBI ground out his last time. He's 0 for 2. So Dan Herron now at 90 pitches. Eric Chavez on deck. He homered his last time. And he jumps out ahead of Goldschmidt, 0-2. Herron can eat you up some innings. Herron, Bronson Arroyo, and Mark Burley, the only big league pitchers with at least 30 starts in each of the last 9 years. Right back at you. This was Eric Chavez. First pitch swinging in the third. Check out the hit speed on this one, too. Going out at better than a 101 clip for his first of the year. So good day for Chavez so far, walking a homer.
Well, we know Kirk Gibson mostly uses Chavez just against right-handed pitching, and there's a reason for that. His last 33 home runs of his career have come against right-handed pitching. Now, part of that is due to the fact he doesn't face many lefties at this stage of his career, but boy, he's been wearing out some righties.
Well, ideally, Eric this season gets 200, 250 at bats and doesn't play more than 2 days in a row at the age of 36. Knocks it into the corner in right center. Kemp over there to cut it off. Chavez heads for second. And he is in there. Eric Chavez, his first double after getting his first homer of the year in his previous at bat.
Yeah, the Dodger outfielders in this game just haven't really been in any big hurry to get to the ball and get it back into the infield. Chavez taking an extra base on what appeared to be a routine single just to the right of straightaway center.
Kemp wasn't exactly flying over there to cut it off. So a 2-out base runner for Mark Trumbo, who has struck out twice. So Mark now 2 for his last 22 with 9 strikeouts. Drives that one high and deep to left center field. Wow, Matt Kemp tracked that one down. He was hustling on that one, and he flew well over from center to catch that just shy of the fence and take extra bases away. 7-3 after 5. So far for Schaub as we're set for the 6th inning. Diamondbacks trail the Dodgers 7-3, but they have out-hit LA 8-5, and they were out-hitting the Dodgers for much of last night. Randall Delgado out for his 2nd inning of work in relief of Trevor Cahill. Hey fans, don't forget, it's now time for you to send us your fan photo on the Twitter. Use the hashtag AZFanPhoto for your chance to have your picture shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It's brought to you by our friends at AT&T. Just tweet your photo out anywhere into space. Don't have to send it to anyone in particular. Just use that hashtag AZFanPhoto and we'll find it. And if Bob Brenly and the governor like it, we will put it on TV.
Absolutely.
We've tried to take some of the pressure off Bob, who's been swamped with pictures. And we have gone upstairs to Greg Schulte for some help because he has turned into a Twitter addict, as we all know.
That's your fault.
I take full responsibility. If I knew what I was going to start, I never would have said, hey, here's how this works.
How about this, partner? This is Dan Herron's 3rd at bat in the ball game, all 3 leading off an inning.
Tim Fedorovich is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, batting 8th.
Dee Gordon's only let off once.
And ideally, that's what you want if you're the Diamondbacks, right? Absolutely. You want the pitcher starting the inning.
Absolutely.
Kind of get that easier start. And of course, Herron had a legitimate base hit his first time up, only to get thrown out at first by Gerardo Parra on the first ever 9-3 putout in Diamondback history. Yasiel Puig, Mark McGwire.
I know a lot of Diamondbacks fans like to get the scorecard here at the ballpark. A lot of them have their own scorebooks that they bring to every home game.
Oh! He sends one out to right again. Parra! Score that. F9.
That's one of the fun things about keeping score. Sometimes over the course of a ball game, you look down and go, well, wait a minute. Yeah. Dan Herron's leading off for the 3rd time in the game. Nice play by Parra, playing very shallow out there in right field, hoping to throw Herron out again at first base on a grounder, but instead turns around and runs down that drive to the gap.
Here it is. That's a great Diamondback fan there. He's got his scorebook, and you don't get to write down 9-3 putout very often, but that happened in the 3rd. Dee Gordon grounded out his last time. He has walked twice and stolen 3 bases today. So he's up to 8 stolen bases on the year. Corners in on the grass. Up the middle, base hit. Gordon on base for the 3rd time today. So here comes Puig. Now you'll note we've got that splint on his left thumb after injuring the left thumb, sliding headfirst into first, and we've seen a couple of guys, Bob, do this year.
Puig is actually a lot more fortunate than Josh Hamilton, who's on the disabled list now with his thumb injury.
Gordon just took off without a pitch. So that's 4 stolen bases today for D. Gordon.
That's just a case of a base runner being aware, watching the middle infielders. Apparently Aaron Hill, Chris Owings, neither one was paying attention or had their head down or looking toward the outfield. Whatever the case, now there you see him walking back to their position. Gordon realizes nobody's looking. Randall Delgado's digging at the mound. He just took off and stole second base.
So 4 steals in a game, a new career high for Gordon, who's at second with 1 out. Puig 1-0. Those smart base runners, they see an empty base and no fielder near the base, and they just take off.
That's just alert baseball on the part of D. Gordon.
I think we've seen that kind of thing a little too often lately from the Diamondbacks. The focus has not been 100% all the time. An old boxing rule, protect yourself at all times.
At all times, yeah. I mean, we've had a couple of instances where guys didn't back up bases. A couple other instances where pitchers didn't get over to cover first base quickly enough. Just the simple fundamentals, things that you should do without even thinking. Just should be automatic, reactive things you do on the field. And I think that's a byproduct of some of the offensive struggles and the losing.
There's a lot to like about Randall Delgado's stuff. And there's many who think he can be an extremely effective relief pitcher just with that 2-pitch mix, the fastball and the changeup. Two balls and a strike to Puig. Mike Harkey. Here's another look. Randall Delgado has got Gordon on first here.
And as we showed you in the very first shot, both see the middle infielders walking away from the bag. Aaron Hill kicking in the dirt. Chris Owens looking toward the outfield. Owens eventually realizes what's going on, but by then it's too late.
And when you've given up a 1-out single like that to Gordon, and you got to start thinking about, all right, I got Puig and Hanley and Gonzalez and Kemp and Ethier. You start thinking about what you're going to throw, and you lose track of the runner. 2-1. Yasiel Puig, the Cuban Bo Jackson, at 6'3", 245. The comparison has been made. He's actually bigger than Bo Jackson. 3-1. Sanderson Ford bullpen, the left-hander Joe Thatcher. He would presumably work to Adrian Gonzalez, who comes up after Ramirez. In the hole. And he has put the Diamondbacks in a hole. Ramirez on deck. Bo Jackson was 6'1", 220. Puig 6'3", 245. And he is a handful. We came in a little heavy to camp this year, nearly 30 pounds. The Panda dropped almost 40. Bryce Harper bulked up, and CeCe is a shell of his former self. Up and down on the weights.
Got the up part mastered.
He's still going up.
The down part is a little tougher.
The key is to plateau at some point. Of course, the Pandas' big weight loss came in a contract year. Puig got to see in Fuegos, Cuba, has already got his deal, 7 years, $42 million. And Delgado strikes him out. Puig strikes out for the third time today. 2 down in the 6th.
Diamondbacks pitching today has done a nice job. See the location of that pitch, down and in, of moving the ball in and out, but especially into Yasiel Puig, not allowing him to get his arms extended and drive that ball.
And now the key is to get Ramirez here so you don't have to deal with Gonzalez and runners on ahead of him. Hanley has struck out, walked, an RBI single. He has scored twice. Thatcher warming with Gonzalez on deck. Misses away there, 1-0. Down at the Phoenix Children's Hospital sandlot. Just captivated at the top of that slide. All right. Nicely done. Two and 0. Hanley Ramirez was a one-man wrecking crew in the National League Division Series against the Braves last fall. He went 8 for 16. Strove in 6 in that series against Atlanta.
Oh, that's a bad pitch right there.
What's wrong?
Breaking ball, 2-0 count. We know the guy in the on-deck circle is the hottest hitter on the planet. Randall Delgado's throwing in the mid to upper 90s with the fastball, and he goes to his third best pitch on a 2-0 count to fall behind 3-0.
Gonzalez 7 for 11 in the series. 3 homers and 10 RBIs. Doesn't get the call there, and he walks Hanley on 4 pitches. Here comes Kirk Gibson. And he wants the left-hander Joe Thatcher to work to Gonzalez. So Randall Delgado in his relief effort had 2 strikeouts, a walk, gave up a ground ball RBI, a single to Gordon, and he will leave. Thatcher comes in to work to Gonzalez. Pitching change, we take a break. Bobblehead night, Diamondbacks and Phillies. First 20,000 get the bobble, courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM. And get the most bang for your buck with the D-backs value pack. That includes the bleacher ticket, a hot dog or a Subway sandwich, regular Pepsi and a free cookie, only $21. So make one of your value pack games the 26th and get the bobblehead as well for even more for your money. Visit dbacks.com/value. The left-hander Joe Thatcher into work to the hottest man on planet Earth right now, Adrian Gonzalez.
Thatcher was able to retire Gonzalez in the 8th inning last night. Bases loaded, 2 outs, struck him out to end that inning.
Gonzalez 7 for 11 in the series. Gordon on second, Ramirez on first, 2 outs. He has homered in 4 straight games, including today. A 3-run shot in the 3rd. He doubled and scored his last time up. Look at those numbers, and we've not played 3 full games.
I wouldn't be overly concerned with D. Gordon out there at second base. If he would try to steal third base and get thrown out right here,
not good.
Don't go back to the first base dugout.
They say never make the first or the third out of the inning at third base,
especially with this guy at the plate. But certainly Joe Thatcher's delivery would lend itself to trying to steal third base under normal circumstances. Very slow to unwind, sidearm delivery, crossfire action. Takes him a while to get his arm into a position to deliver that ball to home plate.
Those are pretty big platoon splits for Adrian Gonzalez. Thatcher jumps out ahead 0-2. There is no one in the Diamondback bullpen. And you've got the right-hander Kemp up on deck. One and 2. As we've seen so often, when Joe Thatcher gets ahead like this 0-2, you'll see slider, 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 trying to get the guy to chase. Like that. Big strikeout for the D-backs lefty. He gets Gonzalez and keeps it a 7-3 ball game as we go to the home half of the 6th at Chase Field. Press brought to you by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores is ready to take you to a Diamondbacks game. Just stop by this month's participating Fry's food store in Tucson and the Cox retail store at Tempe Marketplace. And you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus. You get round-trip transportation to the Diamondbacks game here at Chase Field on either April 27 or May 18. For more info, visit FoxSportsArizona.com. And they got on the bus, and there they are. Took the Fan Express bus. Now they got great seats, great food here at Chase Field. Nice job. It's not bad. Then they drive you back after the game.
Arrive in style.
Oh, that's a good-looking bus, too. They did a nice job this year on the artwork. A.J. Pollock drives that one to center. Kemp. It's off the wall. Leadoff double for Pollock. That's his 4th double this year.
I showed you the weight gains and losses. A.J. Pollock, another guy that put on some muscle in the offseason, and he's shown it in the last 2 ball games. Pinch hit homer in the game to straightaway center last night, and bangs that one off the wall. D. Gordon and Hanley Ramirez were lining up the relay to third base. Matt Kemp threw it back to second, so D. Gordon had to make a diving stop on a relay throw.
Diamondbacks now against Dan Herron have 4 doubles, a triple, and a home run. Yet they trail at 7-3. That is weird, wild stuff. Dodgers bullpen with Herron at 100 pitches. Jamie Wright, the righty. Paco Rodriguez, the lefty. Chris Owings 2 for 2. Parra has doubled. Hill has tripled. Chavez has homered and doubled. Cahill doubled. Now Pollock has doubled. They have out-hit the Dodgers 9-6, but trail at 7-3. And it goes back to one of the points you hear on the talk radio. The offense is there. I mean, it's not like they're not hitting the ball.
Got to find ways to punch it together a little bit better.
And they've certainly lacked for timely hits, leading the major leagues in runners left on base. But those guys are after all, on base to begin with. So the offense, in many ways, has been producing. A lot of base runners, a lot of hits. Just always seems to be that, second and third, 2 outs. First and second, 2 outs. Can't quite get that one big hit.
One more hit.
Oh, 0-2 on Chris Owings. Chris has done his part today, 2 for 2. The pride of Gilbert, South Carolina, 22 years old. And the Diamondbacks like a lot about Chris Owings' makeup. And one thing they've especially noticed, remember, Chris was a first-round pick. And that represents a certain level of commitment from the organization. But along the way, they have collected other shortstops. They acquired Didi Gregorius, Nick Ahmed. And through all of that, Chris Owings never complained, never put his head down. He just went to work and got better. Lines that one to short. Ramirez knocks it down. Owings beats it out. Hanley kind of tackled that one. Owings with good speed beats it out up the line. He's 3 for 3.
Good battling at bat by Chris Owings. Hits that ball on a hop to Hanley Ramirez. Knocked it down, scrambled around. By the time he finds it, Chris Owings has legged it out. I believe they credited him with an infield single on that one.
Yeah, he did. It's a base hit for Chris. So 3 singles for Owings. First 2 have reached against Herron in the 6th. Dodger bullpen busy. As Tuffy Gozawish steps up, he's 0 for 2. Tuffy lifts that in the air right to Ethier and left. And away.
But the heart beating just a little bit. Saw that ball come off of Tuffy's bat. It sounded like he might have caught it out near the end just a little bit. Good trajectory out of the box, just didn't get any carry.
Take a look.
Yeah, right out near the end of the bat, just not going to get the same kind of carry.
Pitcher spot is due up. Martin Prado is warming up. Beat LA. Fox Sports Arizona, Fan Express Plus. Packed to the gill, so is Chase Field. More than 31,000 here. And Martin Prado will hit. It's been a terrific series in terms of attendance. Diamondbacks for the 3 games here, 103,480 fans. That's the largest crowd for a 3-game series at Chase since April of 2012 against the Cardinals. Prado hitting for the pitcher. They have changed the ruling on that. They've taken a base hit away from Chris Owings. That is E6 now. Error on Hanley Ramirez at short. Prado looks at a strike. 0-1. Getting a well-earned day off. You can see that pine tar on the shoulder right behind the neck of Martin. He loads that bat up with pine tar, then bounces the bat up and down off the shoulder, and it, well, frankly, just makes a mess. There it is. He's got a lot of stuff on there, and just bounces it on and off that shoulder. Right there. Oh, and 2. Called strike 3. 2 down.
Martin's had some tough luck in this series. Dodgers have made some of the best pitches in the ball game when Martin Prado's been at the plate. That one right on the edge.
Don Mattingly wants to go to his left-hander Paco Rodriguez with Gerardo Parra coming up. 2 on and 2 out. So Herron is done after 110 pitches. He's responsible for 2 base runners. He leaves leading 7-3. Pitching change. We'll take a break. Good food here at Chase Field. Hey, for the thrill of the game, baseball finally here. It's happening all around us. So go grab a Pepsi and some friends and get out to a D-backs game and live it. It's time to live for now. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Arizona Diamondbacks. We back the D-backs.
Little camera shy. Doesn't want to look at the camera. Nope, nope.
Won't look at the phone camera either. Dan Herron leaves, responsible for 2 base runners. Gave up 9 hits, but only 3 runs. And they'll turn it over to the left-hander, Paco Rodriguez. And it seems like we see Paco Rodriguez every time we play the Dodgers. He pitched in last night's ball game. Aaron, 3 earned, 9 hits. And now it's up to the outstanding Dodger left-hander to work to Gerardo Parra. On for the 8th time this year. Parra has singled, doubled, scored a run, he's stolen a base. 2 for 3. He struck out his last time. A.J. Pollock, the runner at second. Chris Owings at first. 2 down here in the 6th. And they got him. He was way too far off the bag against a left-hander especially. And that's just the way things have gone for Kirk Gibson's ball club. Paco Rodriguez, good move. Gets Owings. That ends the threat and the inning. 7-3 after 6.
These are the kind of plays that just cannot happen when you're struggling to win ball games. This was a pre-designed play by the Dodgers. Adrian Gonzalez sneaking in behind Chris Owings over there at first base, obviously not holding him on the bag, but Paco Rodriguez with a very deceptive move, and they get Chris Owings by a wide margin over there.
And that ends the Diamondback threat. They had 2 runners on. And we'll go to the top of the 7th. New pitcher for Arizona is the right-hander Will Harris. After Joe Thatcher got that big strike out of Adrian Gonzalez to end the LA 6th, Harris will work to Kemp, Ethier, Uribe. 5, 6, and 7 on for the 7th time this year. Matt Kemp has homered today. A rocket into the Diamondbacks bullpen down the left field line. He has also struck out and walked. The brain trust. Things have not gone well. And a tough one for a 22-year-old rookie. With a first baseman playing behind him and a left-hander on the mound. Just got caught. And it's just, when you're 4-10, that's just the way things go. It's just one thing after another just seems to happen like that. A bad bounce here and there, a pickoff play, bloop hits. I mean, you name it. Guys lining balls right at defenders.
As opposed to when things are going good like they are right now for the Dodgers. D. Gordon, very alert at first base, saw nobody was covering the bag at second. Delgado wasn't paying attention, so they take 90 feet. I'm a firm believer in the rhythm of the game. There's times when you can fall behind the rhythm of the game. You're always a tick behind. The other team's always just a little bit ahead. The opposing pitcher's just a little bit ahead of you. At times you can get too far ahead of yourself, but Diamondbacks just looking for that rhythm right now.
And Kirk Gibson has carried himself in a much calmer manner as the manager than he did certainly as a player. And there are some who have written that his ball club could occasionally use some of that fire he used to demonstrate in his playing days. As Harris strikes out Kemp. What do you think about that?
I'm sure his players have seen the Kirk Gibson fire. He just doesn't want to do it out here in front of 35,000 people, make a spectacle of it, and embarrass his players. I could never really understand that. You know, a lot of fans want you to go out there and grab a guy by the collar and yell and scream and embarrass him, but think about your own job. How would you respond if your boss treated you that way? That's no way to get the best out of somebody, regardless of what your job is. You try to be encouraging, you try to educate, you try to make these guys a little better every day. Sure, you get on them when they mess up, but you do it behind closed doors. It's a family in that clubhouse. You don't need to embarrass guys publicly. That's not going to do anybody any good.
Gibby says that he knows, he's aware. People remember him running around the bases and acting the way he did as a player. On his roll to goal to get first. But what Gibby says the fans may not understand is the calculating, strategic guy they see now. And he responds to that this way. He says, look, people need to realize that now he's in charge. It's different. He was, a player before, but now he's the skipper of the ship. And he says, look, if there are 35-foot waves, he can't run for cover. He says, I'm steering the ship. I have to be the last one off while everyone else is throwing up on deck. And he says he's still the same guy on the inside, but you will not see that outwardly. It's something he says he just doesn't believe in.
It's a big transition when you're a player and you're really only responsible for yourself. When you're the manager, you're responsible for the entire roster, your coaching staff, all the peripheral staff. Ranting and raving and yelling and screaming may be entertaining, but it doesn't serve much purpose.
Juan Uribe, gone. And the Dodgers, who scored 6 on Friday, 8 on Saturday, lead at 8-3 on Sunday.
It's been a rough day for Uribe up until that at bat. He struck out twice early in the game against Trevor Cahill, broke his bat on a ground ball to the right side last time up, but catches a Will Harris cutter up and out over the plate, gets a barrel on it, and just sneaks it over that right field fence.
Fedorovich. Dodgers tack on one more. Stretch time at Chase Field. Diamondbacks trail it 8-3. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball is presented by Sanderson Ford at the old ball game. Chase Field, downtown Phoenix. The finale of a 3-game set, the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, and it has been so far a very one-sided affair. Again today, the Dodgers lead Arizona 8-3, despite the fact the Diamondbacks have out-hit LA 9-7. And as promised earlier in the ball game, we have, drum roll please, the AT&T fan photo of the game from Meredith. It's a selfie. A lot of these are turning out to be selfies. They work. It's all right. Just tweet your photo to hashtag AZFanPhoto for your chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Nice work by Bob Brenly and Greg Schulte on the selection process. So Meredith, nice work. Congratulations. You are our AT&T fan photo for the game.
How about this, partner? First team to double-digit victories this season. Milwaukee Brewers. 9th straight win today.
They're hitting, man. Gomez homered yesterday, I saw. He's had another good start. And you can do a lot worse than Kyle Loge and Matt Garza and Yovani Gallardo 1-2-3. Even though they're spending money and giving away draft picks, it's working right now. Parra leads off the 7th. He was up when Owens was picked off first to win the last half inning.
And the Mets will come limping into town tonight. They got beat 14-2 today. Oh. Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, and Raul Ibanez went back to back to back in that 14-2 rout.
They got wore out in Anaheim. They played extra inning games. Curtis Granderson had an incident with a fan who reached, I don't know if you saw, he reached out and Curtis Granderson was tracking a ball down in a right field corner. Just kind of running along and turned to throw the ball back to the infield, and a fan reached out and touched him on the back. And he suddenly held up, didn't throw the ball, and stood there and had a discussion with the fan that explained that was not going to happen again. And the fan was ejected, as well he should have been. That's how to play. So the Mets have gone through the ringer in Anaheim, and they're coming in here tomorrow to face Josh Comenter in his first start in over a year. We'll have the first 2 games for you on Fox Sports Arizona. Wednesday's an afternoon game. And Josh is on the mound for the first time this year tomorrow against those New York Mets. That's always the way they say it on New York radio. Howie Rose and company. Parra shoots it the other way into left. 3-hit day for Gerardo Parra. Josh Comenter and Zach Wheeler, the young pitcher they got in the Carlos Beltran deal a couple of years ago. That's why Met fans are kind of hanging in there. They've got some very promising young pitching. Harvey, of course, out for the year with a Tommy John, but they've got Noah Syndergaard and Wheeler, who they like a lot. And now, after Parra gets the base hit off the lefty Rodriguez, Mattingly, with Aaron Hill and Goldie coming up, will bring in a righty. Leadoff man aboard for the D-backs. Pitching change. Jamie Wright coming in. We're back after this. Fourth Estate here at the ballpark. The great Jack McBurger, FoxSportsArizona.com is where you'll find Jack's work, like post-game interviews after the ball game today. Jack's analysis from the series finale against LA. And Craig Morgan looks ahead to the Coyotes offseason after they just missed out on the playoffs. All that and more right now, FoxSportsArizona.com. All your online local sports coverage you won't find anywhere else. On for the 7th time this season, and for the 2nd time in this series, the veteran Jamie Wright worked 2 innings on Friday, had 3 strikeouts.
Featuring that heavy sinking fastball. That's been his calling card throughout his career. Came into the ball game in relief of Ryu. Game 1 of this series, struck out the side in the 8th, walked the leadoff man in the 9th, but then got a double play to end the ball game.
Aaron Hill, an RBI triple. He scored a run in the 3rd, 1 for 3. Goldie on deck. In the air, first base side, Gonzalez in foul ground. Paul Goldschmidt does have an RBI, had an RBI ground out in the 3rd, but he's
First baseman, Paul.
Coming up here, 0 for 3. And he has only 1 hit in the series. That was his double last night. Paul Goldschmidt was not a baseball fan when he was a little kid. He wanted to play soccer.
Really?
Yeah. But Dad wanted him to play baseball, so Mom went to little Goldie and said, you know, your dad really wants you to play baseball. And so she made a deal with him. You just got to go to 1 practice. If you don't like it, then you don't have to go back. You can just keep playing soccer. Well, he came back and all he could do was talk about baseball. Parra had to hold up to make sure Kemp wouldn't get there, and Goldie's got his first hit today.
And boy, are we thankful.
It worked out pretty well.
Too much running in soccer. He picked the right sport. Of course, the way Goldie hits, he ends up running about as much as a soccer player would over the course of a game.
And it's funny, after they had to talk him into playing baseball, but they made that deal. You go to a practice, and that's it. He came back, no more soccer. It's all baseball. And by the time he was in high school, he was looking for a part-time job, needed a little pocket money, went to work where else? At a batting cage near the house.
Nice.
That worked out pretty well as well. Here's Chavez, a home run and a double and a walk. Good day for Xavi, batting cleanup. Eric was surprised this offseason when he said a lot of teams called. He was a free agent. A lot of teams wanted him to play first base. And he said, I don't like first base. And some of the teams called, were talking, hey, we're thinking we can get you 400 at bats and play first base. And he said, no. I'm 36. I need about 200 at bats, 250-ish, and I want to play third. And he knows what his body can take at this point. And for Eric, it's about winning and helping the ball club, not being a star and playing every day. And so he loves his role here.
Well, to quote Detective Harry Callahan, a man has got to know his limitations. And Eric Chavez knows where he's at in his career. He knows what his body feels like. He knows what he can give to an organization, and is happy to do it right here in the desert.
And the key for Xavi this year, he says, spread out the at-bats. Comes in little bursts here and there. And he wants to be available over the course of the entire season, so you can't push him too hard. Nice block by Fedorovich. Because Eric was so critical to the Diamondbacks offense in the first half of last year. He was in there all the time. And because he was hitting so much. And they had needs with some injuries. And he hit over 300 the first half of last season with 7 homers, then got hurt. And after the break, only 2 homers. He hit barely 240. So a big difference. A ball and 2 strikes. J.P. Howell, the left-hander. Gerardo Parra, the runner at second. Paul Goldschmidt at first. A pair of singles. 2 on, 1 out. And hold up there, and he strikes out.
Jamie Wright's signature pitch is that heavy sinking fastball, but on occasion he can throw a good slider too. That one going the opposite direction, down and in. Chavi just couldn't hold up.
There's a reason this guy's pitched almost 2 decades in the big leagues. He can get you out. Mark Trumbo, 0 for 3, has struck out twice. So Mark in a 2 for 23 right now. Although in his last at bat, he absolutely laced a ball to the gap in left center field that Matt Kemp did a tremendous job on, tracking down, catching it in the gap just shy of the wall, taking extra bases away. Quickly, it's 0-2. Mark Trumbo grew up in the LA area, but it was in Anaheim, so he never really bothered with the Dodgers. He was a huge Angels fan growing up as a kid, and when they went to ball games, they went to Angels games. Didn't go to Dodger Stadium. That's why he wears number 15. His favorite player growing up was Tim Salmon. This was Trumbo, his last time up. Deepest part of the park, and Kemp avoids Ethier and tracks it down into the wall. Nice play. There's the 15. Worn by Tim Salmon in Anaheim, and now Mark Trumbo in Arizona. Oh, Trumbo hits it to Anaheim. Wow. Oh, Kemp was not getting that one. Mark Trumbo, his 6th. And suddenly it's a 2-run game. Hold the phone. That's why they got him. He can get you back in it with 1 swing. Tim Salmon used to do that too.
One of those timely hits that have been absent all too often this year. Trumbo picking on a breaking ball that just never took the break, hung up on the inside part of the plate, and he clobbered it.
8-6. Here's A.J. Pollock, doubled his last time. Six homers, 18 RBIs now for Mark Trumbo. Pollock's aboard. Gordon can't pick it up, and the Diamondbacks have the tying run at the plate here in the 7th.
Play had base hit written all over it. Little swinging topper to the right side. D. Gordon knows he has to hurry. Try for the barehand play. Couldn't come up with it cleanly.
That's a base hit for Pollock, who's 2 for 4. 4th Diamondback hit in this inning. 3 singles and a home run. And here's Chris Owings. A chance for Chris to make good after getting picked off to win the 6th.
A redeemer. This game is great that way. Gives you a chance to go from GOAT to hero very quickly. Not that Chris Owings is a GOAT, but has to be embarrassed about that pickoff at first base by Paco Rodriguez. So it's here to keep this inning going.
He has singled twice today. Diamondbacks have now out-hit LA 13-7. Chavez homers in the third. Now Trumbo here in the seventh. Misses there, 1-0. So Chris came in a 3 for 23. Got a pair of hits already. He's ahead 2-0. Dodger bullpen getting busy again. Rick Honeycutt, the pitching coach, on the right. Don Mattingly on the left. 2 balls and no strikes. A.J. Pollock on first. Three and 0. J.P. Howell, the left-hander, had been warming. Chris Perez, the right-hander, the former Indians closer, is now up as well. Ball 4. Tying runs aboard in the 7th. And a big opportunity here for Tuffy Gozowicz. And this would be a perfect time to get his first base hit this year. Honeycutt and Mattingly talking it over. Pitcher's spot is due up next. I think they're waiting to see who comes out of the dugout, and it looks like it's going to be Miguel Montero who would hit for the pitcher. That's if Tuffy can reach here. 2 on, 2 out. Tying runs on for the D-backs in the 7th.
Technically, you could have hit Miguel Montero right here for Tuffy Gozowicz. The decision you have to make is, do you like J.P. Howell, a tough left-handed pitcher, on Miguel Montero, or do you like Jamie Wright, who has struggled in this inning against Tuffy Gozowicz?
Tuffy hit the ball well his last time up when he flied out to left, just missed it by a hair. Put a good swing on it. Only 5 at-bats all year for Tuffy coming into the ball game. And he's 0 for 3 today. Rally caps in place. Pollock on second. Owens at first. 0-2 on Tuffy Gozowicz. Fedorovich keeps it in front. Bob, I got so caught up in the comeback, I lost track that we scored 6.
How about that? Tacos!
Sometimes you gotta live mass.
Jamie Wright calls his catcher out, wants to talk this over. He shook off everything that Fedorovich was hanging down back there. I'm not sure exactly what it is he was looking for, but obviously has an idea in his mind what he wants to do. And Fedorovich either trying to convince him it's the right pitch to throw or talk him out of it, one or the other.
line in right. Will it stay fair? Oof. How about the catch by the fan with bare hands? Oh, got a D-back jersey on. Nice hat. I think that's contract worthy, baby.
Absolutely, that's contract worthy. Didn't lose his hat.
One and two. I think Diamondbacks might have caught a break there.
Yeah, sometimes guys with a lot of late movement not only fool hitters, but they can fool umpires. That's a pretty good looking pitch from Jamie Wright. New life here for Tuffy.
That's about as good a pitch as you can make in that spot. Wow. Oh, backdoor two-seamer.
Take advantage.
2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out. Biggest at bat of the ball game so far for the D-backs. They strand 2, but they get 3. Mark Trumbo now 6 home runs and 18 RBIs. And suddenly, with one swing, it's a 2-run ball game. Before the game, the players line up, get to walk around the warning track. Fans and kids on the field, everyone in their D-backs Little League jerseys, part of that great program the Diamondbacks started this year. Handing out all those different great color combinations to so many Little Leagues here in the Valley, helping leagues save money. Free uniforms, they look great. You got some gold, some red, some white, some black, some old school, some new school, all those great looks by all our Little Leaguers here in the Valley. Great idea.
Going to have a lot of D-back champions in Little League baseball around the Valley. We like that.
It looks a lot better than Chico's bail bonds on the back. And you will not see any blue along those. Sean Figgins will hit for the pitcher to lead off the LA 8th. 2-run ball game now after Mark Trumbo's 3-run homer, his 6th of the year. And here's Figgins back after he sat out all of last year. Didn't have a job. One and one. Figgins said when he didn't get a call at the All-Star break, kind of gave up got depressed. Dad couldn't even watch baseball on TV. Said it was too hard. Not knowing that he wasn't, or not knowing where he'd go. Kind of figuring out, well, I guess that's it. Focus on 2014. That's what he did. And he's back with LA at the age of 36. A ball and 2 strikes. Called strike 3. Second strikeout for Will Harris.
Curveball that time from Will Harris. That's a pitch that's been improving. It's quite a bit last year, but didn't command it as often as he would like. But it's been a nice weapon for him lately. You know, partner, sometimes numbers tell the whole story. Other times they don't tell the whole story. Diamondbacks have had 27 hits in this series to the Dodgers 29. But the Dodgers have scored 22 runs to the D-backs 11. It's when do you get those hits? Friday night, the D-backs never had a runner in scoring position. Last night, they were 3 for 14. Today, 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position.
What I found interesting about those numbers is that Adrian Gonzalez has all 29 hits.
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
D. Gordon looks at a strike, quickly 0-2. Oof, that guy. What a series. Although Joe Thatcher got a huge strikeout in the 6th inning, Gonzalez' previous at bat. But he's homer now in 4 straight ball games. Will Harris blowing him away here in the 8th.
Nice one that time. This is the other pitch that Will Harris features in his arsenal. That cut fastball in a great location up there above the belt, working its way off the inside corner.
The reception for Yasiel Puig. He has walked, stolen a base, and scored a run, and struck out 3 times. D-backs have struck out 14 Dodger batters today. Dodgers have an off day tomorrow. Then they go to San Francisco for 3 against the Giants. Chris Owings! Got him! Chris Owings, some COD! Century Link, you're linked to what's next. Gerardo Parra coming up in this inning. And he's had a great day so far. 2 singles, a double. He has scored twice and stolen a base. And with Parra coming up in this inning, Don Mattingly will go to his left-hander out of the bullpen. J.P. Howell is on for L.A. With Parra due up second in the inning, pitcher spot will lead off. And here are the numbers on Howell, his 8th appearance this year. And his numbers, as usual, are outstanding. This guy's as good as they get. Tony Campana will hit for Will Harris. So Campana, Parra, Hill, 9-1-2 in the Arizona 8th. Right to Dave McKay at first, and it's in these spots where you really start to miss Cody Ross. Because you'd love that right-hand bat off the bench right now. But Cody is, with the Reno Ace, is still rehabbing. Had a couple of hits yesterday. Getting some more at-bats today. And they hope to take Cody with us when we leave for the next road trip later this week. Diamondbacks have 3 against the Mets. And then an off day on Thursday. And then it's off to L.A., 3 against the Dodgers, and then 4 at Wrigley Field in Chicago. So the plan is to take Cody on that road trip if all continues to go well. Oh, 0-2.
Now you've seen the mix from Howe. Sinking fastball in the mid to upper 80s and that big sweeping curveball. Kind of an in-betweener. Not really a legitimate curve, but not a slider either, so that's why they came up with the term slurve. There you go.
Leadoff man aboard. And they're on their feet. They want the comeback, Miami Vice style. I think you and I should wear those.
Yeah. It'll be a real good look.
So here comes Gerardo Parra, tying run at the plate in the 8th, nobody out. J.P. Howell, last time he allowed a run, September of 2013. That was 18 appearances ago. One and 0. Parra singled and stole a base in the 1st, doubled and scored in the 3rd, singled and scored in the 7th. There's the strike, 1-1. Parra has hit safely in 5 of his last 6. Sanderson Ford bullpen, Brad Ziegler loosening up for the Diamondbacks. Roof is closed here, so you have that one stream of sunlight that curves right through second base. So D. Gordon is actually fighting the sun. Everyone else out there is in the shade. That's what creates that sort of bend of sunshine across the infield, stretching all the way out to the 407 mark in center. You can see Matt Kemp standing at the end of it, way out there in center. Gordon in the sunshine at second. 1-1. Ball strike 2.
Big sweeping breaker. Man. Hard to believe that one caught the corner of the strike zone. Well, because it didn't, but breaking ball started almost right at Gerardo Parra and swept all the way off the outside corner below the knees.
Big pitch there, so Howell jumps ahead 1-2. Fedorovich sets up, down and away. Long look to Campana.
Not a run situation here for Tony Campana, really, with the left-hander Howell on the mound. But boy, Tony has read his move to first base like a book. Leaning back to first before Howell barely lifts his leg off the ground. He has obviously picked up something in that delivery, but down by 2 runs, you cannot risk it.
Parra strikes out, 1 away.
You see why Howell's so tough on left-handers. That breaking pitch, fastball not overpowering at all, but has pretty good command of it.
Well, Don Mattingly has had a right-hander warming in Chris Perez. You have Hill and Goldie coming up, and Mattingly will match up. Diamondbacks with a 1 out in the 8th have the tying run at the plate. Don't go away. Today out in right field, Clayton Kershaw, the Dodger ace, out there throwing pretty hard. He's got that major muscle strain in his back. He's on the DL, and he's kind of letting it go there for a bit. And Don Mattingly said they only allow Kershaw to throw so hard, and they're trying to just ease him back up there. No timetable yet on his return, but he is out there throwing. And it's the muscle that stabilizes the upper arm to the upper back. And that's the key for the acceleration of the arm and the pitch velocity. Chris Perez in the sun on the mound. The right-hander in to face Aaron Hill. Tony Campana at first, tying run at the plate. Campana takes off, and he's in there. Well, you had the left-hander out there in Howell. They go to the righty Perez, and that gives Campana just a little bit more comfort factor and able to run.
And Perez is really in a hurry to throw that ball to home plate. Barely came to a set position. Tony Campana guessed right, took off, stole that bag easily.
Crockett and Tubbs liked it. 0-2. Aaron is now standing in the sunshine at plate. That little band of sunlight we showed you earlier is now directly on home plate. And the mound is in the shade. You can see the sun off the top of his helmet there. Look at that. A ball and 2 strikes. Got him. So Perez comes in, gets Hill, and now he'll work to Goldschmidt. Goldie singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 4. Had an RBI ground out earlier in the ball game. Tony Campana at second, 2 down. Fingers crossed. A home run ties it.
Perez got some pretty good stuff closing all those years in Cleveland. Still has a fastball in the mid to upper 90s, a nasty late breaking slider. Their closing duties are in good hands with Kenley Jansen, but should anything happen to him, this guy is a likely candidate to step in as plan B.
And they have a plan C in Brian Wilson, who's also had some injury issues. And Brandon Lee, who's closed before. We saw him last night. Spent a lot of money on that bullpen. Perez struck out Hill. He's ahead 0-2 on Goldie. It's a good example of the screen the Diamondbacks put up. They extended that screen out to both dugouts, and that one hit the new portion of the screen to protect the fans, and that was a rocket.
And that's why the screen is there. That ball gets over there so quickly, fans really have no time to react.
Derek Hall, president and CEO, his wife Amy, that's why we put the screen up. Often in these at bats, we've seen Goldie jump down 0-1, 0-2, and suddenly it's back 2-2. He gets it back full 3-2. He will make you work to get that third strike. Two Hopper to short. Hanley. Diamondbacks get the leadoff man aboard. They can't take advantage, and we go to the ninth. They trail the Dodgers 8-6. MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet to get live look-ins, instant replay, score, stats, audio, and a free MLB.tv game of the day. Download the app on the App Store. Visit dbacks.com today. We got that. Watch it all the time on the computer, the phone, the whole thing. Brad Ziegler on to work the ninth. He's looked much more Brad Ziegler-like lately than he did this spring.
Through a couple of side sessions working on his release point, he just thought he had his hand in a bad position with the baseball as he was sending it toward home plate. Has corrected those issues and has been throwing much better.
And he'll work to the heart of the order here. Ramirez, Gonzalez, Kemp, 3, 4, and 5. Hanley has walked twice, singled, scored twice, and driven in a run. Looks at a strike, 0-1. Dick Roberson ready and waiting. Oh, he got cut off there.
Possibly auditioning for Dick's job right there. The gentleman reached out with a glove, made the play.
Stuff. Dick's right there on his stool, and the guy 3 rows down is trying to take his job. Ziegler slowly strikes out Ramirez, 1 away. Seen Brad do that a lot lately.
First baseman Adrian Gonzalez.
It looks like that little Bugs Bunny slow pitch where the 3 guys take 3 swings all on the same pitch. And now he'll deal with Adrian Gonzalez. He has homered in 4 straight games, including today back in the 3rd, a 3-run shot. He's also doubled and scored. He struck out his last time against Joe Thatcher. And you can see the sunshine beaming down on Adrian.
Sun's been shining on him pretty much this whole series.
I would say so.
Wow.
Nicely done. He's got 10 RBIs in this series. That one is drifting foul. I got him at 7 for 12, 3 homers, 10 RBIs. Diamondbacks Live follows the ball game. Cindy Brunson, Jody Jackson standing by.
If you're Joe Thatcher, you have to feel pretty good about yourself. You faced Adrian Gonzalez twice in this series and struck him out both times.
Pretty good. "60 games in this ballpark, 59 RBIs for Gonzalez. That is lifted in the air to left. Trumbo coming in. 2 down. The closer is ready. Jansen had to come in at the tail end of last night's ball game and throw 4 pitches to lock up the 8-5 win. Here's Matt Kemp. He has homered, walked, and struck out twice. Diamondbacks in the bottom of the 9th. We'll have Eric Chavez, Mark Trumbo, and A.J. Pollock 4, 5, and 6 against Jansen. One and two. Just missed there. It's even.
Yeah, you're right about that slow slider. Brad normally throws a little harder than that. I think he's using that as an off-speed pitch. He did incorporate a changeup last year by the end of the season, but seems like he's changing speeds on that slider this year.
You mean like that?
Like that.
2 strikeouts in the inning. Boy, Ziegler mows down Ramirez, Gonzalez, and Kemp. Bottom 9 coming up. It's only a 2-run game. Kenley Jansen, we saw him last night through 4 pitches, and now he's on for the save here in the 9th. His 9th appearance this year, a 4.50 ERA. How about the Diamondback bullpen since Trevor Cahill left the game? Delgado, Thatcher, Harris, Ziegler have given up only 2 hits. Nice. And they have kept their team in the ball game. They got within 2 on the Trumbo homer in the 7th. And now in the 9th. Chavez, Trumbo, Pollock, 4, 5, and 6. Diamondbacks trying to avoid the sweep. Xavi walked, homer, double. He struck out his last time. And a ring of sunshine keeps moving across the field, and now it's got to be tough on Gonzalez there. Anything, especially with a left-hand hitter up there, anything hard to first, keep that in mind. There's a strike, 1-1. This is what it looks like from the right field corner.
Two previous plate appearances between these two guys, and both time Eric Chavez worked the walk against Kenley Jansen. Take a walk right here to lead off the 9th, no doubt about it.
Need at least 1 base runner. Two balls and 1 strike. That one gets knocked down by Gordon. Nice play in shallow center. Almost snuck through there, but that's the first out.
The speed shows up on the base pass, but also on defense. D. Gordon just turned and ran to where he thought the spot was going to be, able to make that backhanded play, and it was on in plenty of time to get Chavez.
The converted shortstop, D. Gordon, now is getting most of the work at second base. So 1 out. Here's Trumbo. He has struck out twice, flied out, and hit a monstrous 3-run homers last time up. There's the strike, 0-1.
Took Kenley Jansen deep in Australia in the season opener in Sydney.
The tail end of that second game. at the SCG.
Flat cutter that just stayed right on the inside corner, and he crushed it. Looked like it was going to go a lot further than it did, but far enough to get over the fence.
A 2-run homer, the first batter Jansen faced in that 9th inning. Trumbo down 0-2. Trumbo strikes out for the 3rd time today. Diamondbacks down to their last man standing. It's A.J. Pollock.
Center fielder, A.J. Pollock.
Wanted that cutter up. Ended up down and into Trumbo. Just swung right through it that time.
A.J. 2 for 4. He doubled in the 6th and singled his last time up in the 7th.
Strike 3 pitch to Mark Trumbo reached triple digits from Kenley Jansen. He's consistently been 96, 97 and higher.
This is inside, 2-1. There's your $215 million starter and your $10 million setup man, both injured. Popped up, first base side. Fedorovich gives it a look, but it's out of play. Two and two. He went. Dodgers sweep. Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief, the first base umpire, says yes, he did.
I don't know.
In any case, it's an 8-6 Dodger win, despite the fact the Diamondbacks out-hit LA 13-7. The bullpen did a tremendous job after Trevor Cahill left early in the ball game. In any event, the Dodgers are now 9-4. They've won 3 in a row. The Diamondbacks dropped to 4-11 and now 6 games behind LA in the NL West. They've lost 3 straight.
Well, you really like the way the Diamondbacks offense tried to claw their way back into this ball game after Trevor Cahill put them in an early hole, but just too little, too late once again.
So the Dodgers, after a day off, are off to San Francisco, 3 against the Giants. The Diamondbacks are back here tomorrow on Fox Sports Arizona, opening up a 3-game series with the New York Mets. Dodgers take the finale 8-6. They sweep the series. Let's go out to center field. Jody Jackson is with Cindy Brunson.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. Yeah, I'm getting set for your post-game show. And the Diamondbacks with 25 hits in the last 2 days, but still not able to come away with the victory. And it's been tough again today, Cindy, in a hole early with the pitching of Trevor Cahill.
Yeah, winless against the Dodgers this season. 0-5, getting outscored 32-17 along the way. We're going to break it down for you and get to the bottom of what's up with Trevor Cahill. A ginormous day for Adrian Gonzalez. All he did was come through with 10 RBIs in this series. All of the post-game reaction is coming your way next. Do stick and stay.